Welcome in to the Casual Gaming Conversation. I'm Connor. I'm joined once again by Matt. We're going back to back with the Connor Matt duo, and today we are talking about something we hold very dearly. You could call it something that we consider to be dearly beloved to us.
Close
we're
to our hearts,
Yes,
maybe?
exactly. We're going to be making a lot of fun today, I fear. We're
Yeah,
talking
we
about
are.
Kingdom Hearts. This episode is titled Why We Love Kingdom Hearts. Getting Matt on the podcast on CGC with me, I thought it was the natural topic of that we had to choose because we both are huge fans of this franchise. But before we get into that, Matt, how are we doing?
I'm doing great. I just saw The Odyssey last night. That was a great time. I
I,
like that movie a lot.
I was gonna ask you about
Um,
that. I'm going on Sunday now. I
cool.
was trying to buy tickets for Monday and accidentally bought them for Sunday
hmm
at 6 p.m. And I should be finishing up the trophy stream at hopefully around 1 or 2, and then
Yeah.
have a little bit of a buffer. But I fear that I might be getting it done at 5 and just sprinting to the movie theater after streaming for 12 hours, 2 days straight or whatever. But
Yeah. I
yeah.
was kind of worried going after work, like late on a Friday, that I would be like falling asleep halfway
Mhm.
through the movie because it's like 2.5 hours long. We were going to a late showing, but that movie's actually like shot at a blistering pace, so there was no threat of that happening to me at all.
I felt the same way about Oppenheimer. I saw
Yeah.
Oppenheimer twice, and I think the first time I saw it, I was a little bit under the influence, and I was like, "There's a chance I fall asleep," because we watched Barbie first.
hmm
Accidentally saying Bobby is funny just because Bobby Oppenheimer, but we watched Barbie first, and then went into Oppenheimer. So it was a bit of a gauntlet. I was like, I'm gonna probably. There's a chance I doze off, and I was locked the fuck in. Fastest 3 hour
Yeah.
movie of my life. Rewatched Oppenheimer yesterday. It's my favorite Nolan. I cannot believe how good it is. And I was watching it at work, which is mainly me listening to it and taking glances at it
hmm
every once in a while. I only do that for rewatches. That movie could just be a podcast. Because the writing is just so
Yeah.
snappy and engaging. It is so well written, and I've
I
heard
think
similar
that
things about the Odyssey.
the Odyssey is I would expect like cinematography wise to be very similar to Oppenheimer. There were a lot of very quick shots that reminded me a lot of that movie. And writing wise, it was actually a very faithful adaptation of the translation of the Odyssey that I read. I did the audiobook Thursday and Friday prior to watching the movie, and it recreated the structure of the Homeric poem very well. Um, which I thought was good that I had done that sort of preparation for it.
Was that your
And
first
then
time
over
reading the Odyssey in any capacity?
it, well, I read it in school, in high school, I believe, middle or high school, but it was a different translation,
Right.
I think, that was adapted for students.
It's
And so this is the first time that I read like a real translation.
it's fascinating seeing a lot of people commenting on TikTok videos about the Odyssey, talking about spoilers and how everybody read the Odyssey back in high school. I was never asked to read the Odyssey. I tried to read the Odyssey on my own because I was really into Greek mythology and I
hmm
hated it. I was like, this is so boring. But I was also 14 or 15. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
it helps to try again as an adult.
right.
And like speaking on spoilers, dude, this like people talk about Star Wars being out for 50 years. The story's like 3,800 years old.
Yeah.
It's been out for a while.
Well, a lot of people are saying you can't spoil this because everybody read it, everybody knows the story of the Odyssey, and it's been out for 3,000 years or whatever. And I just keep coming back to that idea. There's new people being born every day. If you can go into this not knowing the story of the Odyssey, why would you not want to? So if I can do my part and not ruining it for somebody who wants to go in completely blind, I think it's good
Yeah.
to do that. It's just good to err on the side of caution, even though
Yeah.
many,
I
many people already
expect
know it.
if you are new to the like Homeric structure of the Odyssey, this movie would feel very fresh to you because the original poem expands on the story beyond just the actual boat voyage. And the movie reflects that a lot. So I think you'll have a good time watching
Yeah,
it.
I can't wait. All the reviews are glowing, and you seem to have enjoyed it quite a bit. What's your favorite Nolan?
Um, I want to say Interstellar. Um, yeah, I think it's Interstellar. I like Inception a lot as well. Um, but like everything I've seen from him is at least good. Like I've never disliked a Christopher
Yeah,
Nolan movie.
I've been seeing a lot of
I
Nolan
haven't seen
rankings.
all of them, but
Yeah, me neither. I haven't seen Memento following Insomnia, like a lot of his early work.
yeah, the early
And I
ones.
haven't seen Tenet, and I really want to see Tenet because I feel like
Tenet's really
I
good.
would be one of those
I
freaks who like really
loved
likes it. Yeah.
I loved how like what a big swing Tenet is, and how much of a chore it is to wrap your head around is like tickles my brain.
Yeah, I think that sounds cool.
And I don't think I fully grasped it after only having seen it one time, but I knew what they were going for, and that like blew my mind.
Yeah. My favorite is Oppenheimer, and I think closely followed by The Dark Knight, probably still.
Dark
Um,
Knight's great.
yeah. There's for Nolan, there's really no bad choices for a ranking. Like I've seen
Hmm.
Tenet really high, and I'm like, cool. Like I think that's an interesting pick. I've seen Memento really high, and then like once you get into the Inceptions, Interstellar, The Dark Knight, um, uh, the Odyssey, probably Oppenheimer. Like just order them however you want. I'm gonna be happy about it
Yeah.
probably. Like I'm not gonna bat an eye. Okay, let's get into the show proper here. This show is made possible by all our lovely supporters over on Patreon. You can get this show 3 days early. You can get the Casual Gaming News Conversation 3 days early, and you can get bonus episodes of the Casual Gaming Conversation each and every week. I don't think we have a bonus episode shot for Thursday. I don't even know if we have a plan yet. So, Nick just posted the call-in episode, the live call-in episode, our first time ever doing something like that, and it went swimmingly. So go check that out. If you're at the $5 tier, and we have a whole bunch of episodes in the backlog for you to enjoy. At the $10 tier, you get Recollecting Retro. Shot one of those last night. Did a bit of an update episode. Went through the collection and tried to find games that were not in previous episodes of Recollecting Retro, but would not be like covered in the future because like I already did the PS2 collection, so I picked out a few PS2 games that I've gotten since doing that Recollecting Retro, and were not in like store haul episodes like for Arcade Legacy or whatever. Which is surprisingly difficult to like go into the backlog and really try to remember what was in what and try to remember like was this in the collection breakdown. I have no idea. I
Hmm.
ended up using Discord and going through and just scrolling the images in the retro gaming channel and finding stuff
Yeah.
that I sent in there and being like, okay, this must have been a personal excursion and not for any content previously. So that's how I did it. And then a few of them I just did based off of memory. But it was about 23 games, I think. I think it went pretty well. And we might do more of those in the future to break up the collections as I start to build up new collections for like the Genesis and the 360 and the 3DS consoles that we haven't covered yet. Then we have the Co-op 64 podcast, and you get the opportunity to be a part of the podcast by writing into the show. We got a bunch of write-ins today that I'm excited to dig into. At the highest tier, you get your name read at the end of each and every podcast, and you get the opportunity to be the fourth topic on the Co-op 64 podcast. My camera is blurry. I'm going to reset it. Boom, boom. Go, go, go. There we
There you go.
go.
There he is.
And then over on the Twitch side of things, Brady and Nick will be playing 007 First Light on Monday. Brady's first playthrough of that. Me and Nick are playing Birth by Sleep on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Nick's first playthrough of that, of a game that is very important to me, and we will discuss probably on the next part of this Kingdom Hearts retrospective. And then
Hmm.
on Wednesdays, I am finishing out The Last of Us Part 2 on grounded mode. And for things to look forward to, Extra Life, August 8th. Matt will be there. We're going to have a
I'll be
four
there.
man crew raising money for Cincinnati Children's Hospital. 24 hours of streaming and shenanigans. Laura will definitely be there and make an appearance. And then we're talking to Mitchell and another one of Nick's friends about potentially being the sixth person that we need for one of the competitions, one of the gaming competitions that Nick has planned the two shoes challenge, and he refuses to tell anybody what that means or what that entails. So that should be fun. Discord, we have a great Discord community of over 3,200 members. You can hop in there and talk about games, movies, music. Send your memes, talk about sports. It's a great way to get involved with the community and make friends that are like-minded and love video games. And yeah, I think that it is a great haven on a internet that has become increasingly negative and dire. I think in many ways rightfully so, but it's nice to just be able to have good faith discussions about the things that we love. And
Yeah,
I think that community makes me really, really proud, the Discord community. Merch, we have t-shirts, hoodies, and mugs if you want to support the channel that way. Co-op64store.com, and leave us nice reviews over on Apple Podcast Services and Spotify. And hype up the YouTube video. It gets more people watching, and we would really appreciate that. Okay. Matt and I spitballed a bunch of ideas on what we could do for an episode for the first CGC involving him and I. And we felt the natural landing spot was talking about Kingdom Hearts, and we thought about talking about the
of course.
future with Kingdom Hearts 4 and what our hopes and dreams are for that. And I think we will get to that in this retrospective, but I wanted to go big picture here and talk about the whole franchise. We're not going to go like super in depth on every single game, but I want to talk about like our personal connections to them, maybe some stories about your memories with these games, like how did you get access to Kingdom Hearts 1, and what are your memories about playing it for the first time, and so on and so forth for each of these games, and what is your general opinion about these games, all their flaws and all their positives, positive traits. So, but before we get into going game by game, let's just do a check-in on how we feel about Kingdom Hearts as a series, as it stands, how your feelings have evolved as the years have gone on. This has been going since, is it 2002 for Kingdom Hearts 1 or
I think
2001?
so.
Yeah, because
I think it's O2.
Final Fantasy X is 2001, and then Kingdom Hearts 2, I think, is 2002. And it was the last Squaresoft game. Then they became Square Enix after that.
Hmm.
So yeah, 2002 to 2026, over a dozen games if you count the mobile games, and so much lore to dig into. We've been on this roller coaster, Nomura's wacky roller coaster, for a very long time now. So I feel like it's natural for your feelings to evolve over the years, and just growing up and becoming an adult and looking at Kingdom Hearts through the lens of somebody who's lived more life, I think is really interesting as well. This series is catered towards children, and we all started playing it when we were children, or most of us did. And I feel like now that I'm an adult, I like have a different perspective on it, but it's oddly still very
It's
close to where I was when I was a kid, I think.
I think the reason why it has lasting universal appeal is because yes, it is a series catered towards children, but it is also something that fans of all ages can enjoy. Um, because they've built a mythos around it that requires some depth of understanding that people need to keep coming back to. Like you said, there are no like optional Kingdom Hearts games. There are no spin-offs, side games, and they've incentivized people to keep coming back after all this time.
Yeah.
Um, and so they've done a great job at retaining a very, very faithful and loyal audience for this long, which is impressive seeing how long they go between entries sometimes. Um, and the fact that the same people keep coming back is a testament to how uh, how much lasting emotional appeal there is tied to each one of these games.
Yeah, and it's so interesting that Kingdom Hearts gets so much flack for being convoluted and confusing, but I think that is part of the special sauce for its success. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think I would be as big of a Kingdom Hearts fan if I didn't see the layers that were building and building and building. And sure, it gets confusing and can be a little bit all over the place, but if you play all the games, I feel like it's pretty easy to grasp at least most of what's going on. And I think that because I've seen all these layers, and I think many have seen the depth of this story, the story about a young lad wielding a key and interacting with Goofy and Donald. Like the
Hmm.
fact that it has so much to it, I think is it plays such a big part in the success of the franchise and the hardcore nature of the fandom. Like I don't
And
think
I,
you get there with just being a Disney game or anything. I think you get there because
yeah.
they've
Oh,
given
for
people
sure.
something to come together on and speculate in between releases. Like
Right, right, right.
the Gamers Joint is somebody who I've been watching since before the release of KH3, and back then they were like posting videos like every other day in the lead up to KH3, and the wait in between Dream Drop Distance and KH3, or you could count 2.8 as a refresh point, but like the wait, there isn't like a ton like new to talk about. You're just talking about
Hmm.
news and stuff, and he just was constantly putting out videos and drawing discussions and keeping people entrenched in the Kingdom Hearts universe. And I think that's you don't get that unless Kingdom Hearts is what it is with its very convoluted and crazy
Yeah.
story.
And I definitely I want to draw attention to that specifically, the connection between a highly convoluted story and the discussion surrounding that, because that I think is wholeheartedly deliberate, with authorial intent, because Square Games have been doing this since around Final Fantasy X and Kingdom Hearts. Games have been deliberately abstract and ambiguous, especially around their endings, in order to get people talking about them more and more. So it's no accident that Kingdom Hearts is always a little bit vague, right? And has been since the very first game. They want people to have long-lasting discussions about these games, and like you said, you've mentioned before that it's not too hard for you to understand what's going on, but there's always another layer to peel back, and it always helps to talk about it with someone else. That's how I felt that I began to understand Kingdom Hearts more, is by reading other people's posts about it and talking about it with other people who have played the games. um, because even if you have a very deep appreciation for the series, there are always going to be things that you missed on your playthroughs that other people will catch. And sharing those experiences is how we together create a more cohesive picture of Kingdom Hearts as a series.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff that I don't fully understand, and hearing other people's perspectives and insight into the Kingdom Hearts lore has been very, very helpful over the years to deepen my knowledge of what the fuck is
Yeah.
going on. But like at a base level, I think if you play through the games, like you will understand the big picture stuff. It's the small details, the reading between the lines type of stuff that I think can
Right.
get people really confused. And if you really latch
Right.
onto
Right.
that, then you can kind of drive yourself a little bit crazy. Um, and I want to touch on like Square Enix and their big franchises, and you were talking about how they are nebulous with their endings for a lot of their newer releases, and I think it's just interesting that with their big franchises, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, and Kingdom Hearts, like these series have endured for decades now, but Kingdom Hearts is the only one of those that like is a continuous thread, like Final Fantasy
Hmm.
anthology, Dragon Quest anthology, and I think that it's a really difficult task to continue to make something that is going to remain relevant and is building and building and building and expecting the audience to have played previous entries to then play the next one. Like Final
Yeah.
Fantasy has such a easy task of being like, you've never played a Final Fantasy, this next new one you can hop in no problem, and a ton of
Right.
people are going to do that. Kingdom Hearts, a lot of people hopped into Kingdom Hearts 3 and were like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, yeah, it's because you hopped into Avengers Endgame without playing
Yeah.
with only seeing Avengers movies. Like that's a
Yeah.
problem. Like you have to watch the in between stuff to understand where we're at with the story. But I love that Square Enix is a lot is seemingly promoting internally the idea of like we don't need to explain everything and we want to stir up discussions. It's one of my favorite things about Final Fantasy 13. Like, in a lot of the
Hmm.
discourse around that game is like I am confused by the story, and like they're throwing around a lot of terms that I don't really fully understand what they're talking about. And for me,
Yep.
I've always said that like I don't need to know everything as it's going along. I know the story of these characters, their end goal is to do this, and let's go and let's see how they bounce off of each other, and let me get into that sweet
It
combat.
is. It's no mere coincidence that Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy 13, Kingdom Hearts 1, I think Kingdom Hearts 2, all directed by Yoshinori Kitase. This is a hallmark of his games, to leave them a little bit vague to get people talking about them and keeping them relevant in the long run. It's one of his ways of how he promotes more people to play his games.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I think it's putting a lot of trust in the audience that a lot of studios are not willing to do, because it's risky.
Yeah. Trust in the audience. I
It
like
could
that.
alienate people, and they say no, we're gonna stick to the vision, and in the long run, it will work for us because it's gonna keep people interested and keep them talking online on forums, which I was involved in when I was a kid, like going on Kingdom Hearts forums and making friends and just talking about this franchise that I love so much. And now it's moved to making video essays and talking in discords about the lore and stuff, and I just love that. All right, let's bring in some listener write-ins, and then we will get back into some more bigger picture Kingdom Hearts stuff, but maybe this can facilitate some further discussion. From Brian, I wouldn't be who I am today without Kingdom Hearts because it drove me to connect with other gamers online. Back in the mid 2000s, I joined Kingdom Hearts forums as a kid to talk about games I had only ever played at friends' houses when my family didn't have a PS2. Finding like minded people who would become friends, none of which I'd ever meet in person. To that day, this has driven me to being comfortable making friends in online communities, eventually bringing me to Co-op 64. Sounds like Brian had a very similar situation to me because I did the same thing. Like,
Really?
I wonder if he was on the same forum that I was on. I was a shithead like 13-year-old and like could barely spell right. And I remember like looking back on some of those messages or some of the posts that I made on there and being like, this is not well written. Like, and it has so many mistakes on the spelling front, that it's pretty embarrassing. But like we very easily could have been on. There was a bunch of big forums back in the mid 2000s or early 2010s that were quite active. But yeah, like I that was my first foray into online communities, and I've been in one ever since. Like in some capacity, I've jumped from one to the next. But and I always ended up moving on to the next thing, and I think Co-op 64 is going to be the thing forever for me, for the online community that I'm able to
Yeah, you've
share.
made your own
Yeah,
now.
yeah, but it's hard because I still feel like I'm just one of the people in here. Like I
Right,
grew up as
right.
like a person on the internet who enjoyed going back and forth with people and having discussions about video games, and just that's what I had always done. And then you add Co-op 64 into the mix, and it's hard for me to just be like, oh, like I am in a different standing now because like I'm the one making the content in Discord.
No, no,
I'm just
I
like
didn't mean
I'm
to insinuate
no, but
that.
I think there is something deeper there that like should be factored in with like the whole like parasocial element of being a content creator and interacting with your fans, that like I have to think about that. But so it's a bit of a different dynamic, but it's hard for me not to just sink back into this is how my life has always been. Like I just
Yeah.
have
What
chopped it
I
up with people on the internet since I was
what
like
I mean
13.
is that you and Nick have curated an online community that synthesizes all of your interests,
Right.
and is like greater than the sum of its parts, because it gathers like-minded people who share many, if not all, of those interests.
Yeah.
So it's like a super forum that is hyper tailored to you because you made it.
Yeah. Do you have any similar life experience to what Brian is talking
I
about?
I was kind of the opposite. I played Kingdom Hearts 1 when I was very little. I don't know how young, probably 7 or 8. Um, on with a PS2 copy on my older brother's PS3, and I did not finish it at the time because I was very young and got skill checked by Riku Ansem at the end of Hollow Bastion 1.
Hell yeah. No way I'm letting
Um,
you take Kyrie's heart, dude.
yeah,
It's
I played the PS2
seared into
copy
my
of that game,
brain.
so
Me too.
naturally that specific cutscene that cannot be skipped will live in my head rent free for the
Yeah.
rest of my life. Um, and then I like that PS3 overheated and we lost the disc because it was in the PS3 when we took it to the shop and they were like, we can't salvage this. Um, so that was a bummer. That was
Mhm.
like the only disc that kind of just got wiped from our PS3 library. And so I went a long time without having played any more Kingdom Hearts. And I also went a long time without discussing a lot of Kingdom Hearts because there were not many people in my life who had played it. Um, it uh, probably wasn't until I met Nick in high school that I knew someone who actually like acknowledged Kingdom Hearts the way that I had from my childhood. Because I wasn't active like you or Brian were on forums
Mhm.
in that sort of interstitial time. And then I formally picked the series back up in 2020 when I played through the all-in-one package from start to finish, up through Kingdom Hearts 3, which
That's
had
such a
been all that
grind,
had
dude.
released
That's
at the time.
crazy.
It was,
Did
I
you go
mean, it
back
was
to
a
back?
grind, but it was, yeah, I went back
Wow.
to back. And I tried to play each game to a level of completion that I was comfortable with, to feel satisfied moving on to the next one. Obviously, I beat them all, but I also tried to engage with a lot of the side content and the mini games and synthesis and all that, um, to feel like I was getting a complete experience of each game. So I did it justice before moving on to the next. And yeah, it was a grind. It took probably several months, but it was one of several pandemic projects that you just didn't really have anything else to do at the time in the year of 2020. So I figured now was going to be a good time to get back into Kingdom Hearts. And I was so glad I did because I had a great time. Obviously, the fact that I made it back to back, start to finish through the whole series is a testament to how much I enjoyed it.
I don't think there's a single series that I could see myself being able to do that with. Not one. Like I just would like even for games like Uncharted that are 8 to 10 hours. Like I would be like I gotta just get a change of pace in here and play something different.
Well, there
Um,
were changes of pace, I think, in that collection because, first of all, they vary the gameplay a lot between the games. So it doesn't get stale, um, with your hand to brain connection, which I think is a testament to the game design of each of these games. And they also break it up with like converting the games into movies, like Days.
right.
And we'll talk more about that when we get to Days later.
Because
But
you've never played Days.
I did after the
Oh,
fact.
nice.
I hadn't as part of my whole series playthrough in 2020, and then last year I played Days on a DS.
Oh yeah, I've been thinking about doing a
So
replay myself.
we'll talk more about that, because I have a lot to say about Days.
Let me.
Um,
I think I do
yeah,
too. And one of the
go for it.
more niche games in the franchise, it might be the one that we talk about
Yeah.
the most on this episode. I'll bring in another write in here, and we'll circle back to another one before the end of this podcast. I think. From Faint, Kingdom Hearts is a series I dipped my toes into as a kid but a year or two ago it dived in fully. Between my friend and Connor's vocal love of the game, I was pushed to play, and now I'm a longtime fan. And that is from Faint, aka Kingdom Hearts Rules on Patreon readings. Yeah, I think a lot of people had similar instances where they were enamored with Kingdom Hearts as a child because of its link to Disney, and it was a
Hmm.
game that I think a lot of parents were able to just grab off the shelf because of the
Sure.
Disney art on the involvement of Donald and Goofy on the cover, and be like, yeah, this is for a kid, and my kid likes Disney, so sure, this is a good Christmas gift. Um, and I think a lot of people had a similar situation to what I had, which I think is what I just kind of described, where um, my parents got me a PlayStation 2. Shout out to my Uncle Randy, who I think guided my mom to like what she should be buying for me. And then saying like this is what the
Hmm.
box you need, and these are some of the games you need, a memory card, maybe get an extra controller and stuff like that. So Christmas when I was, I think, 6 years old or maybe five, um, I opened a box. Last gift for the Christmas festivities, gift opening festivities, was the PS2, and I had no idea that it was coming. Lost my fucking mind. This was my first video game console, and I got the PS2 with that sleek blue box, man. Oh, it's so good. I get nostalgic just thinking about the fucking box of the PS2. And my mom got me Kingdom Hearts NBA Street Volume 2 and Crash Bash on the PS1. I don't know why she picked up a PS1 game, but I love that game as well. I have a lot of nostalgia for that game. And day one, I booted up Kingdom Hearts, and I didn't know how to get off Destiny Islands. I couldn't figure it out. Like I
Hmm.
was like, where the fuck is the seagull egg that I need to
Yeah.
give to Kyrie? I couldn't find it, and I think it stayed that way for years after the fact. Like where I was like, I don't think I'm smart enough. I'm 6 years old. I don't know how to progress in this game, and I think I didn't come back to it until I was 9. And we I think we can just start getting into the specific games here, and this is going to lead us into that.
Yeah.
So
Let's do it.
I didn't get back to it until I was 9, I think, and I got to Traverse Town. I got through all the worlds that you can go to after Traverse Town, Wonderland, Deep Jungle, and Olympus Coliseum. Um, remember having to have a friend help me through Deep Jungle because I couldn't figure out where the fuck to go, which is
Hmm.
a canon experience for even adults when they're they're playing it nowadays. Um, and then I think I didn't know that I had to go back to Traverse Town to be able to progress the story. So I hit another stopping point until we moved to Arkansas. And I remember, I think that was like when I was able to use the internet competently and was able to look up a guide online, and
Hmm.
that led me to being able to progress. And through all of this, I was running past every heartless. That was just like a mob
Oh
heartless because I
no.
just
Oh
wanted to get to the
no.
next cutscene. I just wanted to get to the next boss fight. I didn't think that they were required by any means. I didn't understand like how leveling up in a JRPG or an RPG worked.
Yeah.
And I got all the way to Riku Ansem and was stuck there until I was 14 years old. Like I could not beat it because I wasn't leveled up enough. And on the PS2 version, I watched that cutscene, I think seriously like 5,000 times or something like that. Just a disgusting number of times. Like I feel like I could recite the whole thing if you made me really try. And then I think when I was 14, I finally was able to power through. I beat Kingdom Hearts 1 for the first time when we lived in Ohio. So I must have been 14 or 15, and I remember knowing most of what was going to happen because in Kingdom Hearts 2, you get those flashbacks to the events of Kingdom Hearts 1 in the intro, but getting to finally experience it for myself and finally check this one off the list was a really
Hmm.
special experience for me. I beat Kingdom Hearts 2 and Chain of Memories before I beat Kingdom Hearts 1, just because it was so
Interesting.
hard, yeah. um,
Interesting.
and now my exposure to Kingdom Hearts 1, it's my most played game in the franchise. I have platinumed Kingdom Hearts 1 in the for the PS4 collection, and that was a doozy. It was so fun. I loved the synthesis stuff and the grinding for specific items, doing the I think it's the Heartless 13 in Kingdom Hearts 1, and then it's the Mushroom 13 in Kingdom Hearts 2, where you have to do like the little challenges. So far on for the Mushroom 13, it might be the Mushroom 13 in both of the games, but I remember
It's
that.
not the Mushroom 13 in Cage 1.
Yeah,
I
because
don't remember the Heartless 13 in Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix.
it might be called something else, but it is usually Heartless because I know the one in Traverse Town is like the monkey Heartless that are in Deep Jungle. The challenges with them in like the main
Yeah,
square.
those are just rare Heartless, I believe.
But there's like a weird
That
challenge involved with some of them
Yeah,
where
they all
yeah,
have like very obscure
yeah,
mechanics that you wouldn't
and
know.
you have to do those for
You have to do them for
the platinum
synthesis.
in synthesis. Yeah, and I was in college when I was doing that. But before, and that was probably my junior year when I did the platinum for that game. I remember staying up until 2, 3 in the morning, like multiple nights in a row, 12-hour shifts, just grinding synthesis stuff, grinding out trophies,
Hmm.
and getting to the end, getting to level 100, beating Sephiroth and Xehanort for the first time, which I think is called, what is it, Mysterious Figure, or is that that might
Mysterious
be,
figure. That's it's Zemnis.
yes, is that what he's called though in Kingdom Hearts 1, or is that the BBS name for the
In
super
Kingdom Hearts
boss?
1, he's called I believe Unknown.
Okay. And cruising through those fights. If you're level 100 and have the ultimate
Hmm.
Keyblade, like it's fucking just smoke these fools. Like I heard they were notoriously difficult, and I beat them both first try. So I finally got to experience all like the side bosses, the Phantom in Neverland, whatever you
Hmm.
want to call the boss in Agrabah. That it has a really cool
Kurt
design.
Ziza.
Yeah, he's awesome, but
Do
I
you know
don't
the
know.
story behind Kurt Ziza?
It's like a fan's name, right? Or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they had a sweepstakes like prior to the localization of Kingdom Hearts 1 where people would like write in with a sweepstakes to get their name in the game, and there was just some guy named Kurt, some guy named Kurt Ziza who was like he won the sweepstakes and they named a super boss after
I
him.
think I heard that story like again recently, like in the last couple of weeks. So it's funny that you mentioned that. And then going back to before I platinumed the game, my sophomore year of college, I got really into speedrunning Kingdom Hearts 1, and learning the routes and how to be efficient and get through some of these bosses. In the most efficient way possible, and you can real like it's very satisfying. Like for Maleficent Dragon, for example, you can use stop
Hmm.
and like jump in the correct timing to basically keep them frozen for the entire fight. And that fight gave me a
Yeah,
ton of trouble as a kid, and now like I can do it
I
without
know.
even
Isn't that
thinking.
crazy how so many of like the really difficult bosses are like vulnerable to spells that we never thought to
Yep.
try on them as kids?
And then
Um,
for like Riku Ansem as well, like if you parry his one of his attacks in the right timing, you can just keep him stun locked the entire fight and just race through
mhm.
that. And that's so satisfying. And I think during that time I probably played Kingdom Hearts 1 at least 100 times, but I might be underselling it. Like it might be closer to 200. I was playing through Kingdom Hearts 1 2 to 3 times a day for like months straight and having a great time doing it. And so it's definitely my most played game of all time. And I would argue that I've probably played Kingdom Hearts 1 more than just about. I got to be in like the top 500 people in total Kingdom Hearts playthroughs or something. Like in that ballpark or something, maybe top 1,000. But like, yeah, this game's just super special to me, and I would not be talking to you here today without Kingdom Hearts. But you said you played Kingdom Hearts 1 back on the PS3, so it was a good amount of time after Kingdom Hearts 1 had released on
Mhm.
PS2 in the West. What was your experience like? How did you find your way to this game? Because, like you said, like you didn't have anybody talking to you about it when you were younger.
Yeah, I don't remember how I found my way to the game. It was probably just something I picked out at GameStop when I was little because I liked the box art. And it was, to be clear, I was playing it backwards compatible with a PS3. I was playing the PS2 copy of the game,
Hmm.
not the final mix copy they released later on PS3. Um, and I like I don't remember specifically how I like was able to progress. Like you said, get off Destiny Island, get through Traverse Town Revisit, where you need to talk to Merlin and Sid. I think I, as a kid, was just in the habit of talking to everyone that I came across because I had played RPGs prior to that with a couple of Final Fantasy games. It probably helped to have an older sibling, although my older brother didn't really help me through Kingdom Hearts at all. And I definitely just wandered, right? I wandered through those worlds so much that eventually, if you go to every room in Deep Jungle, you'll eventually trigger the cutscenes that you need to progress. And that's how I got through Deep Jungle. I didn't
Same.
know where to go. I just went everywhere, and it worked. And that's enough to get you up to, Hollow Bastion as a kid. And so I think that I engaged with the game enough to progress, and I don't think I had a very deep understanding of the mechanics as like a 8-year-old. So it was natural that I wasn't gonna be able to get through those difficult bosses at the end, like Rico Ansem. Um, Even if I had beaten him, I wouldn't have stood a chance against the few bosses that came afterwards. Um, but I love that game so much, and like I wouldn't have revisited the series were it not for my experiences with it as a kid. Um, because that game has such a lasting impact on you, right? The presentation, I think, of Kingdom Hearts 1 is my favorite part of that game. Um, the way the visuals and music combine to uh I wouldn't say immerse you, but to create a memory of that experience is something that is almost wholly unique to Kingdom Hearts and maybe even Kingdom Hearts 1 because to me it feels like a cozy game. Um to re-experience like Destiny Islands and Traverse Town and to watch other people do it is takes me back to when I did it first as a kid. Um and I think that is attributed wholly to the soundtrack that people continue to play all the time, and the visuals that I think have aged really really well as well.
I'm starting to tear up because the the way you put that about like memories and like the way that um you can like envision like yourself or like the and see the warm hug that this game was for you like when you were a kid. Like I'm there's like very few things in my life where I can like really envision like where I was and like who I was. And it's so
Hmm.
interesting that Kingdom Hearts like specifically like I can see sorry. I can see myself. Like I can see like I can almost like get a bird's eye view of myself in certain moments of when I was a kid. I don't know if I can do that for many things, and it's really like specifically vivid for Kingdom Hearts. Like it's very strange. Like I can see myself playing on Christmas Day. I can see myself in the basement in Ohio, trying to beat the game for the first time. I can see myself in Arkansas in Traverse Town. Like I can see the kid. It's weird. I did not expect this to happen at all. Like I'm sorry, and I'm such an ugly crier. I know Nick's the one who always cries on stream, and his face doesn't puff up in the same way. But like I think that's why, or like it's part of why I hold this game so dearly, and I think that's a fascinating phenomenon that a video game specifically can give me like the most vivid memories when I think back on my entire life. It's very strange.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's that's totally on purpose, right? Like Kingdom Hearts 1 is designed with nostalgia in mind because not only does it take you to these places, it takes you to some of your favorite movies as a kid,
yeah,
right? Because it uses Disney as a way not to just draw people in, but also to engage with people's collective memory of what their favorite Disney properties were. Um,
and I
and
think
like some of them at the time of Kingdom Hearts 1 were actually relatively new, like Hercules.
right.
Um, but for a lot of us playing and replaying, the Disney worlds are time capsules. They
Hmm.
they take us back to memories of Disney movies that we have, as well as when we replay Kingdom Hearts, and we have memories of the game itself now.
I think that the Disney aspect, like you said, it's so integral to connecting and making those memories. But I think it's just so integral to the sauce and the mixture and the concoction that makes Kingdom Hearts so special. Like I do not play Kingdom Hearts for the Disney aspect.
Yeah,
I play it almost despite that. I like Disney. Like it's I've always liked a lot of these movies, and growing up, I probably had more fondness for the Disney aspect than I do now for like Kingdom Hearts 3. But like um, I don't think Kingdom Hearts is the same without it, and I think it's just a testament to how certain things have an intangible magic to them. That certain art pieces have an intangible magic. There's a through line between Disney movies, animated Disney movies, that like just gives you this feeling that there's something special in this warmth here, and I think that the marriage of Final Fantasy and Disney works so well because you can say the same thing about Final Fantasy. Like, I can't put my
sure.
finger on exactly why Final Fantasy gives me this warm, fuzzy feeling, especially when a lot of those games have some like pretty dark themes. But like, it does feel like uh, a warm hug when I watch a Disney movie or when I play a Final Fantasy game. And I think that the
Hmm.
warmest hug I can get, and when Serum was talking about his experience with Kingdom Hearts 1 and playing through it recently, like I said that like Kingdom Hearts 1 is so just a unfiltered, very direct in what it's trying to do for in comparison to the rest of the franchise, and doesn't get lost in the weeds. Like it's a very simple story, but the mix of Final Fantasy and Disney, and then all the Kingdom Hearts nonsense that's in here, and it's much less nonsense than it becomes later in the game. Like it's just such a
Right.
warm hug. Like it feels like every single time I come back to it, it's so comforting for all those reasons that I just laid out and you touched on there. And I think that's what makes Kingdom Hearts so special. And I think that's what makes Kingdom Hearts 1 so specifically special to me, is that it's not interested in like setting up the next 5 games and really
Sure.
furthering the timeline. They probably made this without knowing if they were going to be able to make more. So they wanted to be able to put a bow on it at the end.
Yeah, almost certainly.
And I think they like the self-contained story here it's simple, but it's so effective. It's about these kids getting older and changing and going in different directions and losing each other and then trying to find their way back to each other. And I think that remains the core of the games until I think 2, and the payoffs in 2 that are set up in 1 are just so satisfying and emotional
Hmm.
to me. But like, I think if you just take Kingdom Hearts 1 as it is, it's so special to me for all those reasons that I listed, and that's why it's my favorite Kingdom Hearts game. I think that Kingdom Hearts 2 is mechanically much better. I think there's stories in the Kingdom Hearts franchise that are much more complex and interesting, but like, I just keep going back to the fact that like Kingdom Hearts 1 is pure. Like it's just like
Hmm.
clean as hell, and I think that carries through to a lot of the design choices and the art style. Art style is timeless here. Art style is timeless for the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise. Like it's crazy how a lot of games that went for realism during this generation, like age like milk, and like Kingdom Hearts with this cartoony art
Yeah.
style, like they Kingdom Hearts will look good forever. I'm convinced of that. Like I went back to Kingdom Hearts when I was like in college and playing PS4 games that like had crazy good visuals. Uncharted 4, it's like holy shit, and being like, this isn't like really this big step down. Like I don't really feel like I'm playing something old and crusty, which I think is really interesting.
Hmm.
I want to touch on the worlds real fast with Kingdom Hearts 1 and maybe some of the music as well before we move on to Kingdom Hearts 2.
Hmm.
What's your favorite world? What's your least favorite world, maybe? And just talk about the worlds broadly in your experience playing Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yeah, it almost sounds like a cop out answer at this point, but favorite world's definitely Hollow Bastion. Um, if I had to exclude the original Kingdom Hearts worlds, which why would you? Um, I would probably say Halloween Town is my favorite Disney world, and Atlantica is probably my least favorite Disney world. Not because it is difficult to navigate
Mm-hmm.
or opaque in terms of how you progress, just because I don't like care that much about the Little
Yeah.
Mermaid.
I
Um,
think Atlantica is the worst as well, but I think people really rag on it a little bit too hard. Like, it's fine. It's not like this painful gauntlet of just terrible mechanics. Like, it's stripping
it
back a
is the
lot of.
first time you play it.
Yeah,
It is difficult to do the first time. Like I probably spent so long in Atlantica my first time through it as a kid. I had to have gotten through it, but I didn't know what I was doing. Like I said with Deep Jungle, I just wandered around, interacted with things until I realized that I could hang on to the dolphin long enough to get to a new spot,
right.
right? Um, and like that was just what it was. It didn't bother me that much that I had no idea where I was going or what I was doing. I just didn't want to be there longer than I had to because I didn't have the same fondness for like the style and substance of the Little Mermaid.
Right. For me, it's Hollow Bastion as well. I think this is the best Kingdom Hearts world. I think it's arguably the best video game location of all time. Like, I think it's fucking nails across the board. The water gorge that's going at valley that's going
Hmm.
on at the start with the floating platforms, sauced up as hell. The actual castle that's crumbling and you can see the pipes and the smoke coming out of it. It's
Yeah,
like, holy
yeah.
shit, this is so cool. Like the sparks and like the crackling of like the electricity that's like loose in some of the areas of the building. Like, it's like, damn, dude, like this is awesome. The platforms with the elevators that you have to go on, and that can be really confusing, and how you can manipulate the castle. It's like architecture to like get up to certain areas, really awesome. The cathedral hall, where you fight Maleficent for the first time, and then the big open area where you fight Dragon Maleficent, and then the main room with all the princesses lined up and sleeping there, where you go fight Riku. Like, oh my God, and the music, dude.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah.
shit. That song is so fucking good. It's arguably the best in the franchise, which is saying a lot because there are so many bangers. Yoko Shimomura, the absolute greatest video game composer of all time, in my
Hmm.
opinion. And I think
She
that
got a BAFTA recently for her
hell
work on
yeah.
Kingdom Hearts,
Hell
so it's
yeah,
good
she
to see
did.
the recognition that she deserves for this
Um, and
series.
she also did Parasite Eve and Street Fighter 2. So, like, come on, that's a pretty illustrious career. But she's been cooking up fantastic tunes for decades now. And yeah, Hollow Bastion, my absolute favorite. And if I'm gonna go with a Disney World, I said this semi recently, and I got some flack for it. But I'm coming from the perspective of somebody who like has played this game hundreds of times now and knows my way around. I'm not basing this off of like my first few playthroughs where I was trying to fumble around in the dark and try to get from cutscene to cutscene. Deep Jungle, I love. I love Tarzan, and
Hmm.
I think that
Hmm.
world is really interestingly designed and looks really cool. The biggest problem is that you don't know where the fuck to go. But once you do know where the fuck to go, like I think the story's really interesting and how it melds like the Kingdom Hearts heartless aspect with the main villain and how it's Clayton, right? That's his name. The
Yep.
main villain in Tarzan, like how like he gets brought over to the darkness and like but he's not like involved in the grand scheme with
Right, right.
Maleficent and Oogie
He's
Boogie.
not scheming in the dark room with
Right.
all of
I
the other Disney
love that
villains.
cutscene when I was
He's
a
just
kid. It was so cool.
circumstantially there and also happens to
Yeah.
be evil.
I really love that how that all plays off of each other. And then but for Hollow Bastion, which I or sorry, for Halloween Town, which I think is if we're going to talk Disney Worlds, I think it's everybody's favorite. That is the easy 1.01 for a lot of people. I shout out to the finale of that world with the Oogie
Hmm.
Boogie fight, like where he's actually just Oogie Boogie and he's running around on the platforms and you have to like step on the buttons.
That first phase took me
Yeah,
forever to
it's just
do.
a
I
test of
remember still
patience.
as a kid, I had no idea that I had to engage with mechanics while fighting a boss. That
What is
was
the
like too many
mechanics?
things to do at once as a kid. I don't know how I beat Oogie Phase 1.
But his phase two with like the building
Yeah.
blowing up and his body being like interwoven into it and having to climb him like it's Shadow of the
Just an
Colossus.
enormous, yeah, like Shadow of the
Yeah,
Colossus. It was really the PS2 that had enormous boss fights like that. It was
Yeah,
the first time that ever happened.
the music during that boss fight too is sick as hell. Like I really love that fight. I do think that Halloween Town otherwise is just really small. And that can be said for Kingdom Hearts 2 as well. But so that holds it back for me a little bit. But for least favorite, I think Monstro or Atlantica are probably my least favorite, but I don't feel very strongly about either of them. Where
Hmm.
I'm like, I
I
really
liked
hate playing through this.
Monstro because it reminded me of Inside Jabu Jabu's Belly from Ocarina of Time,
Nice.
and I thought that was cool that they also had a dungeon that was just inside a big guy. Um, and
I also
when
like.
you,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead. I
I,
didn't have anything
I
important.
also like how Riku's involvement in that
Yeah,
world
yeah, yeah,
plays
yeah.
out. I think Kingdom
Because who
Hearts
else are they
1,
gonna put in Monstro?
right.
You already have Pinocchio and Geppetto in there from the get go, so like you need an important villain. So that's and like pacing wise, that's a perfect part in the story to reintroduce Riku
Yeah.
because you hadn't seen him in so long that it felt natural to bring him into there and have the callback to Destiny Islands. It was like that really reinvigorates the player's drive to find Riku and find Kairi as well.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts 1, like the core story is about Sora trying to find Riku and Kairi, and
Hmm.
they do a much better job with that core story and spreading it out and keeping it progressing and not just riding on the Kingdom Hearts worlds to be engaging,
Right.
and sprinkling in like Riku throughout all of these. You go back to Halabashan. You go back to Traverse Town, and he shows up in that second time, and you find him for the first time, and then you separate again, and then he shows up in Monstro, then he shows up in Neverland, and then we get
Hmm.
so he's like constantly progressing, and then we also find out like where Kyrie is in Neverland. So it's like it's not like we have to wait to the big finale to actually start getting the story to move in comparison to what we have with KH3. I think Kingdom Hearts 1 does a really great job at that. Um, yeah. Do we have anything else we want to say on Kingdom Hearts 1? How do we feel about Dearly Beloved? First
Yeah.
introduction to that. Like, what a fucking song.
Yeah, I love Dearly Beloved. Definitely one of my favorite title screens because of that song. Um, I love how the rhythm of Dearly Beloved maps to the beating of a human heart.
I didn't know that.
Um,
That's awesome.
yeah, if you think about it, like ba bum ba bum ba bum, and now think of Dearly
Yeah.
Beloved in your head, bum ba bum ba bum, and
Interesting.
then I don't want to get ahead of ourselves too much, but you get to Kingdom Hearts 2 and 358 over 2 days, which are the games that you start off as Roxas in, and it no longer maps to the beating of a human heart because he's a
Oh,
nobody.
learn something new every day. I thought I was a Kingdom
Um,
Hearts expert, but that's awesome.
I don't know if that's intended or not
Yeah.
because I never did any research into that, but it was something that I noticed while I was playing those
You might be
games.
the only one who's noticed that. And like could actually be on the money and nobody's ever said this. But you have a lot of you I know Scott is really into music. Do you play a lot of instruments?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
I'm definitely more of a performer. I play the flute. And Scott does a lot more composition.
gotcha.
Um,
But
so
like
I'm not like
you would
a
know. Like you would focus on these things when you're listening to music.
yeah.
Right. Cool. All right. Yeah, Dearly Beloved, very special to me. I think we'll do we want to do a little Dearly do you know like what the Dearly Beloved sounds like for each Kingdom Hearts game? Do you have that off the
I
dome?
I do vaguely. I do vaguely.
I think we can do a little ranking. So right now Kingdom Hearts
Okay.
1 is in first place. So let's move on to Chain of Memories slash Re-Chain of Memories.
Hmm.
What is your experience with these games? Did you only play Re-Chain of Memories in the collection? Have you gone back and tried the GBA version? And how do you feel about one of the more controversial titles in the franchise with the change in combat?
Yeah, I have only played Rechain of Memories as part of the uh 1.5 2.5 Final Mix collection. So I haven't gone back and played the GBA version, but I will someday. I really want to because I love the look of it. I love the GBA art style. Um, and it's a little bit of a shame that they just brought it into the KH122 engine to have it feel more like you can navigate it easily, but the still like the card combat is almost untouched,
Yep.
despite the additions. And I was initially when I first played it, very abrasive to the idea of the card system because I just wanted to play an action RPG and I just wanted to uh, level up and get stronger. But Chain of Memories forces you to engage with it on a more thoughtful level than other action RPGs would, because you need to be thoughtful about every input, like you would in any card game, right? So in
Right.
essence, it is a good card game with action RPG elements. I didn't recognize that at the time, so I was just like, okay, I'll focus on my deck building and that'll carry me through. But you really need to play thoughtfully, and I love that the bosses in Chain of Memories are what really force you to hone in on that, because I was, like I said, initially not receptive to the gameplay at all. And then as I kept going, I was like, wait a minute, this this is how slights work, right? And this is why I kept getting interrupted by bosses. And this is how I stopped that from happening. So I'm now investing more thought into my deck and when to use certain cards. And that only increased as I kept going through the game. So the difficulty curve, and I suppose the learning curve in general with Chain of Memories, um, really captured my attention and got me to love the game a lot more than I thought I would have. And I would have been way lower on it if were it not for how the game increases or introduces you to mechanics sequentially as you go.
You're talking about the difficulty curve, and I this is a new thing that I've been hearing lately about Read Chain of Memories, about it being difficult. I disagree. I think, like, I do not think I'm a high level
Hmm.
Read Chain of Memories player, but I've always kind of breezed through this game. Like, it definitely has its harder boss fights, but like
The
I
the um
good.
the level to level experience is very breezy.
Mm,
The Heartless in that game don't pose much of a threat to you, even if you choose to build levels that put you up against difficult enemies. I think that the regular Heartless don't pose much of a threat. It's the bosses that will really roadblock you if you aren't playing carefully. I'm thinking of like Larxene is a big roadblock, I think, for me and for a lot of people.
yeah.
Um, Vexen had me stuck for a little while because for the life of me, I did not figure out that he's just super weak to fire. Um, and I think that Marluxia is just objectively difficult because he um the obviously as a final boss he introduces a new mechanic that you weren't
Yeah.
expecting, and he kind of puts um the kibosh on how you were previously playing the game. So that's also difficult. And Vexen too. Not Vexen, Zexion. Um, he would take your cards, and that bothered me a lot. I was like, what am I supposed to do without my cards?
You want to hear
Those fights that I mentioned were the difficulty checks for
you
me,
just
but I
mentioned
got through them all.
you just mentioned Zexion. That's in the Riku playthrough, right?
Um,
Zexion's the one with like
is
the
Zexion?
hair like to the
Yeah, no.
right
Is he
side.
only in the Riku playthrough? I
I
thought you
think he
fight Zexion in Sora
shows
as
I
well.
think he shows up in Sora's playthrough, but I don't think you fight
Hmm.
him.
Okay,
It's
you'd know better than me,
yeah, it's
because you
Zexion
played it
and
more often.
Lexius, I think is how you say his name. And I
Hmm.
don't
Yeah,
know how to
Alexius.
pronounce their names, or I'm not 100% sure on it because I've never beaten the Riku story. I don't know why.
Dude, that is so fun. I
Yeah,
love playing as Riku, and I love how they like handle his cards, because with Sora it's all about deck building,
mhm,
right? You're putting together slides. Riku, it's just here's your deck. You don't get to change it. Figure out how to use it.
yeah.
And I love that they just put you in there, Um, because in one sense, you're like they took away my agency with how I can. But on the other sense, they're like they took the training wheels off. You
Mhm.
need to learn how to use these cards because you don't get to rely on strong ones.
I've played a little bit
Um,
of it, and I do remember what you're talking about like the not being able to tinker with your deck aspect. But I think I've only played like how long is it? Do you remember?
it's shorter than the Sora playthrough,
I think by
but
quite a
not by a
bit.
whole
Oh,
bunch.
really? I thought it was like 10
How
hours
long?
long.
I think yeah, no, I think it's like 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah, I think Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories like base game is like 25 hours. I think it's in line with all
Sure.
the other Kingdom
I
Hearts
don't
games.
remember how long I spent with it.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
Um
Riku's definitely shorter.
yeah. My backstory with this, I got Chain of Memories when I was a kid before Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. So my parents did me a
Hmm.
solid here and let me play a bit of Chain of Memories, so I didn't go into Kingdom Hearts 2 questioning what the fuck happened.
Probably a rare breed.
But
I think you're one of the few in the proud who actually understood why Kingdom Hearts 2 started the way it did.
unfortunately, I still didn't because they gave me the opportunity, but I couldn't get through Kingdom Hearts Chain of
Oh, you
Memories.
couldn't get
Like
through
I
it.
was, I
Okay.
was still a child. I remember also losing. I was at a hockey rink, hanging out with my sister, waiting for my brother to finish playing, Nick to finish playing hockey or something. Or it might have been me and Nick, and we were waiting for Paige to finish figure skating. We were at the rink quite often, and we were like doing like little races or something. We put our Game Boys down like on the windowsill, up on like the in the space like overlooking
Hmm.
the rink, and I think we like ran away and somebody stole them, so I lost my copy of Chain of Memories, and I was pissed. And But from my experience early on playing the Game Boy Advance game, like I remember finding it incredibly difficult as a kid, but I also really didn't it was frictionless for me, like when it comes to the gameplay. Like didn't have this adverse reaction to the different gameplay style. I just thought it was really cool, but I did find it very difficult. But I love the look of the GBA version. The sprites are gorgeous,
Hmm.
timeless. The gameplay, like you
Hmm.
said, is still intact no matter which version you play of this. It's basically the same game, just is in a different format, with how you traverse the world. But yeah, I think that the GBA version is probably more difficult. But I have gone back and I played it on an emulator on my phone back when I was like 16, I think, in high school. I played a bit of it on my Game Boy Advance SP after that. But I've never rolled credits on the GBA version. I've gotten close. I think I've gotten to Twilight Town. So I've gotten pretty far.
Hmm.
And then with Rechain of Memories, I remember that was the last game I bought from a Blockbuster style shop. I remember convincing my mom to let me get it. It was $20. I didn't even know it existed before I saw it at this Hollywood Video, and I
Hmm.
was like, "Can I get this?" And very rarely did my parents buy me a video game outside of my birthday and for Christmas, and she budged and bought me the game, fortunately. And I remember just really becoming once again enamored with it, with going into the menus and wiping the fucking deck and being like, let's start over. How are we gonna
Hmm.
min max this? How are we gonna
Hmm.
figure this out? And Going through that story and being in Castle Oblivion. If we talk about Castle Oblivion for a little bit here, like I think that's another all-timer location. It
Yeah.
can be a little bit redundant going from floor to floor, but like it's such a
My
cool
only
look.
gripe with Chain of Memories is that Castle Oblivion is such a cool place, and in practice, a lot of it amounts to just going through the Cage 1 worlds again.
Yeah.
Like just from a visual presentation, you aren't like re-experiencing the story per se, but you are in the same locations and hearing the same music, which
Yeah.
got grating to me after a while. That's probably a symptom of the playing Rechain of Memories instead of the GBA version, and also a symptom of playing it immediately after finishing Cage 1.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
but I
Serum
think
just did the
that
same
that is
thing.
something I hold. That's something I hold against it as a sequel slash follow up to Cage 1, is that it relies too much on the imagery of the Disney worlds from Cage 1 in order to put you into a location when Castle Oblivion is already such a cool place to be in.
I just don't think you can. They wanted you to be able to explore Castle Oblivion deeply because a lot of its draw is its mystery. Like these
Hmm.
stark white hallways. You get flashes to other rooms in Castle Oblivion where like the organization members are gathering and talking and
Hmm.
planning, scheming, but like you are confined to these really liminal spaces, and I think that
Sure.
keeps this air of like, where the fuck actually are we? Why does every floor look exactly the same? How far up does this go? Like, and at some point, like, you have to ask, like, does this place even bend to the rules of time and space? Like, I saw the building on the outside. I'm up fucking
Hmm.
20 floors right now. There's not 20 floors in this building. There's no way. But on the Kingdom Hearts 1 Worlds returning here, I do think that's a problem with this game for sure. It's annoying. Surely they
Hmm.
won't do Kingdom Hearts 1 again in the future.
How
Like,
could they?
yeah, like,
How could they?
yeah. So
Yeah, this game didn't really get its hooks in me until you get to Twilight Town and Castle Oblivion proper. Those late game levels were when I was really invested in where I was and where I was going, which I think was too late for it to really sink its teeth into me.
yeah, I was in, I think, from the jump. I think that opening cutscene, seeing it on GBA with the first time seeing the actual organization
Hmm.
uniform with the hood and the zippers, and like I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And also, why the fuck are Donald and Goofy in like their normal clothes right now? Like, I don't like,
Yeah.
when did they get those? In between the events of Kingdom Hearts 1 and this. And then I was kind of off to the races. I think that the Riku story and like the replica Riku and everything going on with Namine, this story is incredibly dark. Like, if you
Hmm.
take it at face value, like, okay,
Yeah, I
and it
agree.
displays like what Sora, who Sora is at his core. Like, he is just wanting to protect others and will put himself second to do that always. Like, he doesn't care eventually that all his memories are going to be erased, and he's going to lose Kyrie in his mind and potentially lose everything that he loves, but he's going to save Naminé no matter what. And I think
Yeah.
that's really kind of dark for
Yeah.
a
This
13-year-old boy or however old Sora is here
Yeah,
to
this
go
game
through.
does a really great job of characterizing Sora, maybe even more so than Kingdom Hearts 1, because it introduces him as way more courageous and selfless to understand from the get go that he will progressively lose his memory as he goes further into this castle, and then he does it anyways,
Yeah,
knowing full well the risk, which is a very scary thought to voluntarily lose your memory. And then you watch it unfold after each progressive floor. He remembers less and less of who he's even doing it for, right?
right.
And even who his closest friends are.
Your memories are you. Like, they're kind of like, without them, like, you are erasing all your past experiences and how you've gotten
That's
to
definitely
become where
something
you
that Kingdom
are.
Hearts puts forth in general,
Right.
even as you go to further games. Your memories are who you are the sum total of who you are.
All right, let's close out the chain of memories discussion. What's your favorite slight, I guess? Because I really just want to like talk
Hmm.
about like putting three clouds together and fucking letting him slash across the
Yeah,
battlefield.
I didn't know that Cloud was like insane. I don't think I ever got three Clouds when I
Really?
played. Um I probably didn't visit Moogles enough
Yeah.
to get enough cards to put together three Clouds. I definitely relied more on magic, and then once I realized how to make slights, I think the one with stop, which had to have been lethal frame, was probably the slight that I used the most to like melt bosses.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so that's probably my favorite slight.
you're not the only person who's alluded to this, like figuring out how to use lights. Like, doesn't it say it like right off the rip? Are people just ignoring
Well,
like how
I
that works?
it's ye- yes, I ignored how it works from
Yeah.
the rip, and then I was like, okay, I have to use these. This is a mechanic that I have to
Yeah.
engage with in order to not be card broken.
Mhm.
So the fact that I ignored it at first hampered my understanding of it in total. And then there's another layer of understanding slights when you need to execute them really fast and in a specific order because your deck shuffles itself in the same order every time. So when you build your deck, the way you arrange your cards will help you put slights together instead of
Right.
having to scroll through your cards in order to manually build slights. You can do that from the get-go in your deck building screen and then just hit triangle, 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 and then you have the slate that you were planning already.
I just, how
So
did I
like that,
naturally come to this conclusion when I was like 12 years old? It doesn't make, I knew that like off the rip, like on how to organize the
yeah,
deck.
it took me until like the very, very end of the
Yeah.
game to be like, okay, I have to arrange my cards in a specific order. And then like I didn't even learn until after the fact that people are building their decks with specific numbers in mind so that when you build slights and then lose a card from them, you can still shuffle your deck in a way that the next time you shuffle has your cards arranged so that you can have a new set of slights even
Oh,
after cards have been taken away.
that's some high level shit right there. I don't do that.
Which is like absolutely crazy to me that people bother doing that in Chain of Memories
Yeah.
because it would definitely make the bosses easy and doable in like a very reasonable amount of time, but the time that it takes to figure that out, you're playing a lot of
Yeah.
Chain of Memories, dude.
Uh, for me, I mentioned Cloud for slights and cards. Shout out to three Simbas. Shout out to three Dumbos. Those rip and tear. Basically,
Yeah,
summons in this
I
game are really
definitely
good.
didn't use summons enough in Chain of Memories.
Yeah. Um, and then shout out. I love the. I think they're ethers or they're potions. Where like you can get more. Well, I think ethers would give you more magic cards in your deck, and
Hmm.
potions would give you more basic attack cards. So you have more to work with because every single time
And
you
I think elixirs would give you your cards back after they
right,
get deleted
right,
from
that's what it
flights.
is. But when you shuffle your deck, you're losing cards every single time. I remember getting stuck on in read in original Chain of Memories because I didn't really fully understand that mechanic, and I was like, why do I only have like
Hmm.
two cards left? I'm fighting. Is it guard armor? Is that what they're called in Traverse Town?
Yeah,
The
it's the boss of Traverse Town.
Yeah, I was like, why do I only have two cards left? And I was just waiting for Donald or Goofy to show up, and I was waiting for the card that makes it so you get like a platform, and the armor like falls to the ground and is like
Hmm.
stunned. Just to get through that fight, I was just chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. But yeah, favorite worlds. I don't really have one. They're all very similar. Like I guess it was cool to go to
I think
Twilight
it's got to
Town.
go to Twilight Town
Yeah,
because this is the first time you ever see it, which was crazy to me because I knew about Twilight Town from Kingdom Hearts 2 prior to playing either Kingdom Hearts 2 or Chain of Memories, and it blew my mind that you see it for the first time in Chain of Memories, the second game in the series,
right. I think that's awesome. Because
on
I
the
think
GBA no less.
I think by the time I got to Twilight Town, or I saw Twilight Town, I think on like a forum in Chain of Memories, like with all the sprites and
Yeah.
everything, I was like, I didn't know that that was alluded to because I'd already played Kingdom Hearts 2 or some of Kingdom Hearts 2 at this point,
Hmm.
and I was like, huh, that's awesome. And I think that was a light bulb moment for me to be like, oh, Kingdom Hearts is kind of deep. Like it's got a lot going on. Uh, Organization first introduction, like true introduction to
Yeah.
them. Who's your favorite member that shows up here? And like
Mm.
just maybe like give me like an overview of your thoughts on the organization as it stands specifically for this game.
Yeah, as of Chain of Memories, I was very intrigued by the org, and I like that they are the main antagonists of this game because of how like myriad their personalities are. It felt like each confrontation with them was unique. Like from Larxene to Vexen to Lexius, they're all very different characters, each with their own very special personalities, and they're all trying to stop you. So it felt like a very fun like rogues gallery to get through. I think my favorite org member was probably Axel because how like there's intrigue in the organization as a result of Axel being sent to Castle Oblivion because he is an assassin sent by the bad guys to kill the rebelling bad guys.
Yeah,
That is a very
the
interesting
badder
premise
guys.
to have for a Kingdom Hearts game, right?
Yeah.
It's like there, like you said, this game is darker than it lets on because of things like that. So I think that's and Axel, I actually didn't really know Axel from Kingdom Hearts 2. So seeing him for the first time in Chain of Memories painted a very unique picture of him. Um, and I thought he was cool even without having played Page 2 or Days.
For me, it's Marluxia. I love his character
Mhm.
design. That hair, the pink hair, and like all the
Mhm.
flowery stuff. Like, and then you get like the thorns involved with
Yeah.
everything. Like at the end, I'm like, this is sick as hell, and he's the big bad of the game.
As a as a Final Fantasy fan, I gotta love the Marluxia fight and his signature mechanic being like the Doom
Yep.
status from Final Fantasy, which worked so well in Chain of Memories because it's a card game where you need to thoughtfully plan out your cards, like I said earlier, and you spend the game figuring out like, okay, I need to approach this thoughtfully while also kind of keeping an eye on how fast I'm doing this so I won't get hit. But
Right.
Marluxia turns that on its head. He's like, dude, you got till the count of 10 and then it's over. So you're like, okay, I gotta figure this out and I gotta do it fast.
Yeah.
So it's like, how well is your muscle memory ingrained by the time you get to the end of the game?
Right.
That's a great premise for a final boss.
His boss fight is my favorite in the game as well. And I remember going into the later half of Chain of Memories, knowing about Marluxia and know that he's who we see early on in the game, right? Who's like floating
Hmm.
around.
Yeah.
But we don't know it. We don't see his face. When I initially played Chain of Memories, I never got to see Marluxia's face. I didn't get far enough in the game, but I had seen the opening cutscene to Kingdom
Hmm.
Hearts 2 with Sanctuary and being like, what's that guy's deal? And clearly, like, he's the big bad of this game, and I don't know anything about him. So he had this mysticism around him as I finally
So
got
he's
towards
in the base version of Kingdom Hearts 2 and not just the final mix.
for Marluxia.
Yeah.
He's in the cutscene at the beginning, so like the
Okay.
recap cutscene for
Yeah.
like what happened in Kingdom Hearts 1 and Chain of Memories. Like you see
Yeah.
Sora like running through the halls of Castle
Yeah, I know the
Oblivion,
one.
and like he like is going up against Marluxia, and his scythe is like coming back. But I had never seen Marluxia at that point. I was like, so what's the deal here? And finally getting to him was really great. And I do want to say lastly on Chain of Memories and the difficulty and the because we touched on it earlier, but I don't think I finished my point on this that I don't think there's a single boss in this game that took me more than a few tries when I like actually got through it. Like, am I just him or something? Like, I don't
I
understand.
maybe I would say like a few tries, maybe more than a few tries for some is an accurate description of my experience with the bosses. Um,
I think it's
just
harder than
because like
PH2.
I was approaching it kind of like KH1, and you can't do that and succeed. So
Yeah.
maybe it was just me.
Before we get into Kingdom Hearts 2, I gotta say, this is like one of my favorite podcasts I've ever gotten to shoot. I'm having an absolute blast right now. Like
Nick is
this
gonna be so salty that he wasn't here for
this
this.
is the best, man. I love Kingdom Hearts so much.
He's got to get his money up and play more
Yeah,
Kingdom Hearts so
this
he
is.
can be on the next one.
I think we only can probably shoot for another 30, maybe like 50-ish minutes because I have the trophy stream, but I think that's
Hmm.
more than enough time to get through the next couple of games here. But before we do that, Chain of Memories doesn't have a really unique version of Dearly Beloved, does it? I don't.
Not not super. It might be peeled back a little bit. All
Mhm.
I can really remember, like I remember hearing the GBA version of it, so I'm like, oh, it's just the one that's like compressed and kind of bit crushed.
Right.
But that um I don't. For now, let's put it below Kingdom Hearts 1 and move on with our
Yeah, I
day.
think we could either put them on equal footing or put it right below and call it a day as well because even Kingdom Hearts 2 is not that different. Let's just start there. Let's just start with Dearly Beloved because we're on the
Yeah,
topic. Kingdom Hearts 2's
yeah,
Dearly Beloved is better. Like it's more it has more depth to it. Like there's more layers to the piano, but it's
right.
still just the piano as far as I
Yeah.
remember. And that just makes it the
I
best
think they
version
add
so
some
far.
more instruments accompanying the piano than were already there in the first.
Okay. So there is I know that like when we get
It's
to
not like Birth by Sleep where they have an overture beforehand, but I think there's more accompaniment.
right. Is there really? Because 358 over
We'll
2
have to do okay, we'll have to do a video where we talk about all of them.
yeah.
And then we'll be correct in comparing
I
them.
just want to go and see if my memory is correct here. 358 over 2 days has a flute or some sort of wind
Yeah.
instrument added to the
Yep.
mix. Then Birth by Sleep has a violin.
Yes.
Can't tell you anything about Recoded. Dream Drop Distance is like bubbly in its background composition. I don't. I
Sounds
think
kind
it's.
of
I
right.
think it's many
Sounds kind of right.
instruments. It's not like one specifically, but it's a little bit more chipper.
Don't remember the Dream Drop one as well.
Back cover uh, has a unique one that's not very good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts
Yeah.
3, so different. I
Very
fucking. I
sweeping,
love
very
the Kingdom Hearts 3
orchestral,
one. Yeah.
enormous sound.
Yeah. It's I think it's very fitting of the game that you're about to play. The
And then I really love Melody and Memory too. The swing
love
version, come
Melody and Memory,
on.
dude. I thought about
I
like
love it.
when Laura and I got married, having that kind of be our like walk out, like when we're done, like that be the song that plays just as we're doing
Hmm.
hugs and getting congratulated or whatever. But it wasn't in the cards. I think I could have made it happen. I would have just been me like putting a because we had a very low key wedding out on a porch in Hocking Hills with Brady doing the ceremony. Like I could have put like a speaker on the side, but we didn't do like a lot of the pomp and circumstance where like we like do the walk in and have like a song and like anything like that. It was just literally us standing out there and getting married. So it would have been very low key to just have me put a speaker on the side and hit play on the swing version of Dearly Beloved, but I kind of wanted to do that. But yeah, okay. Kingdom Hearts 2 currently in the number one spot, but we might need to just scrap this whole idea and go back and listen to more Dearly Beloved and do a video just surrounding that. Kingdom Hearts 2. How so I assume you just rolled from Reaching the Memories into
Yep.
KH2,
Yep.
and how was that experience? How do you feel that this game elevates over the first two? And how did this game make you feel when you played it for the first time?
Yeah, I think I had the same experience that everyone else did. You wake up as Roxas and you go, "Who is this guy? He's not Sora." And I like it felt very much like the opening of Twilight Town felt very much like the beginning of a lot of RPGs where um they start you off in a new place that you kind of get the sense that you aren't coming back to. Um and so I was like, okay, because I'd played like Destiny Islands in Kingdom Hearts 1. I was like, okay, if Twilight Town is my new Destiny Islands, I want to savor every minute that I have here. Um so I definitely spent a lot of time in Twilight Town just going around doing the mini games, taking in the scenery. Little did I know that you'd be going back to Twilight Town a whole bunch
Mm-hmm.
in subsequent games. But I wanted to take in as much of it as I could, and after that, I was just along for the ride as the game unfolded. And I was trying to be very conscious of because I was doing like a full series playthrough of who's who, right? Trying to get an idea of who Roxas is, why he's here. Um, Final Mix cutscenes helped a little bit with that, trying to contextualize the chronological order of that with respect to Chain of Memories. Um, I did my best. It probably wasn't until after I finished Cage 2 that I really got a sense of who all the org members are. because that's a very important part of understanding Kingdom Hearts is getting to put names to faces. So I spent a lot of time doing that in Cage too. Um, and then I feel like the Disney worlds were they're different. They're not my favorite. Um,
Interesting.
I well, they're high highs and low lows because I
Mm.
loved like Pirates. I loved Tron, even though I haven't seen the
A
original
lot of
Tron,
people
which I
don't like
really got to
Tron,
do.
so that's interesting.
Um, I liked the vibe of Tron because it took the game into sci-fi
Mhm.
where no previous Kingdom Hearts world had gone.
I think my biggest problem with Tron is where it is placed in the story. You're in Hollow Bash and you're
Hmm.
finally getting a
It's
lot
it's
of
embedded in
movements,
Hollow
and
Bastion
then it's
instead of
like,
being a world unto
right, it's
itself.
like just stop the story
Yeah,
progress. Mickey has shown up for the first time and is gone face to face with Donald and Goofy, this character that you've been looking for 2 games now, and now you got to go help fucking Tron out and
I
play
think
through that.
maybe I liked Tron a lot because I hadn't seen the original Tron, so I was experiencing the 80s Tron for the first time through Kingdom Hearts. And that was a unique experience for me because I don't think there was any other Disney World that I hadn't seen the movie beforehand. So I was going through it for the first time until we get to Dream Drop.
Hmm.
Um,
I still haven't seen
but I
Tron
had seen all
myself.
the others. Um, I really got to get to it one day. But, anyways, Mulan was great. I love going to. Is that the first one you go to,
You
Mulan?
can go to
Um,
Mulan or to Beast Castle.
Yeah, Beast Castle also very cool. I love how Beast Castle in particular, because it's just the castle, does a really great job of spatially orienting you in the movie. It is
Mhm.
very immersive in that each area leads to another area that you all see in the movie, with
And
a few extra ones thrown in there.
it's also so cool that you have preconceived notions about these characters because you interact with them in
Hmm.
Hollow Bastion and Kingdom Hearts 1, but
Yeah,
now you get
it's the
their actual
first kind of
story.
sequel
It's
world.
very
Yeah.
cool. I love that. Um, how do you feel about like the Kingdom Hearts specific worlds? We've already kind of touched on Twilight Town, but I guess the world that never was is the only other one.
Yeah.
That world was fucking amazing. Like I was
Yeah.
like entranced the first time I went there. When I beat this before beating Kingdom Hearts 1 and Chain of Memories, but getting very far into both of those games and being like, holy shit, this is so cool, and it's such a great elevation over anything that we've seen thus far. Like even Hollow Bastion, which I think is more interesting, and I prefer the design of like there's a scale to the world that never was that I think is unmatched,
Hmm.
really in a lot of the franchise until you get to
Especially on the
Scala,
world map where
right?
you are flying the little tiny gummy ship and then you come to a really big world and then you get to the world that never was and it's enormous in the background
We have
that
talked.
you had kind of been looking at the whole time, and they kind of reveal it as you get to the back of the map and it
It's
just blows up.
it's sick as hell, and it's that just made me realize we haven't touched on the gummy ship at all.
Yeah, the gummy ship.
I don't mind the gummy ship. Yeah,
Vastly improved in Kingdom Hearts
I
2
agree.
from Kingdom Hearts 1. I think that in KH1 it is a fun distraction to have sort of like an on rails shoot 'em up like Star Fox style mode in between worlds. I think it breaks up the gameplay and is good and should be there. Um I also like in the final mix versions that you can kind of warp around and skip it after you've gone through it because it would get tedious if you had to do it dozens and dozens of times. I think they vastly improved on the same formula in Kingdom Hearts 2. The gummy ship encounters are more complex. There's more camera work. There are more ships. There's more going on. It keeps your attention more than the first one where you can kind of zone out and hold the fire button and
Right.
just go.
And I think that last gummy ship section before
Hmm. Going
You
up
go
against
to
the
the
Dreadnought.
yeah, like I think that's
Yeah.
very very cool.
Yeah, it
I
is.
think a lot of the other ones are kind of unmemorable, but they're fine enough. The one where like you're on a highway and you have that heartless like kind of
Yeah.
speeding down and
Running at
running
you.
at you. I think that one is pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
I want to go back now to the opening of this game with Twilight Town. Very controversial. People have very strong opinions on playing as Roxas, the length that you have to, the amount of time that you have to play as Roxas at the start here. What
Hmm.
side
I could
of
see
the
that.
argument are you on here? Do you like the opening? Do you love the opening? Do you hate it?
I've played enough RPGs to appreciate a little switcheroo when it comes to the controlling the player character. Um, like the opening of Final Fantasy 12 kind of does a similar thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it tickles me a little bit to be like, oh, you thought you were Roxas, did you? Um, I just appreciated that the progress that you make in Twilight Town, like the experience that you gain and the results of your struggle tournament, contribute a little bit to how you progress as Sora. And like the obviously the starting choices that you make for strength versus magic also affect your stats as Sora. So I'm glad that what I did in Twilight Town carried over to starting off as Sora because it felt like everything that I did prior was not a total wash and was not wasted.
Um, I fucking adore the opening of this game. I think it's
Hmm.
way overblown with how long it is. Like if you're moving, you can get through it in like an
Yeah.
hour and a half
No, I
max.
agree. I
It's
think in the scope of the entire game of Kingdom Hearts 2, you don't spend that much percentage
right.
of the game in Twilight
People
Town.
say, "Oh, it's 3 hours long," and you can probably spend 3 hours there,
I
especially if you
probably
get
spent 3 hours. I
lost.
didn't mind it though.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm not going to go back to this,
Um,
so I might as well enjoy the 3 hours that I get here.
but I think this is one of the all-time great video game openings. Period. Like I think that it's divisive, and that's what makes it so special. Like the people who like really love it, like really connect with it. And they were doing making a big swing here, and I think that that results in them dividing the fan base on
Yeah,
if it's good or not.
I didn't develop the appreciation that I have for Cage 2's opening until after I played, not watched, but played 358 over 2 days.
Mhm.
Um, because you spend a lot more time with Roxas in days, and it lends very necessary context, in my opinion, to um, his character and why he is the way he is, especially in Final
Would
Mix.
you recommend people playing 358 over 2 days before two? Then that's how it's packaged in the all-in-one package, where you are supposed to watch
I
the cutscenes before two.
I don't know if I am well versed enough to make recommendations, but I wish that I had done that.
Yeah.
I wish that I had watched days prior to playing Cage 2.
If I were to make a recommendation, I would say play it in release order. And this feeds into why I love the opening of Cage 2 so much. Like, I think the disorientation is a core aspect
Yeah.
of
Oh,
what makes it
it's
so special.
intended
It's like
to be certain.
Roxas doesn't know what the fuck is going on. You should not know
Right,
what
right,
the
right,
fuck
right.
is going on
And that's why
either.
it's intended.
And
Yeah.
I think that it's so emotional, like, and once again, incredibly dark. The journey that Roxas goes on in this opening of being like, am I even real? And am I really going to go back to Sora and let him be the one who's in the driver's seat and give up my perceived humanity because it's the
Hmm.
right thing to do? And
Hmm.
I think Roxas lays the emotional groundwork for the rest of the game. And without him, I think a lot of the journey that Sora goes on and his relationship with Kyrie and thus Naminé is very very muted without it. Like the
Yeah.
cutscene with him, with Sora leaving to go to see Master Yen Sid in Mysterious Tower, and him crying and being like, I
He's
don't know, I
crying.
don't know why I'm sad, but I'm sad.
Yeah.
And that always hits me. I'm going to cry talking about some of these cutscenes. I already can feel it. That scene always gets me, and doesn't happen if you don't have that build up with Roxas, because you know why he feels this way, and it's because his soul is screaming and is sad about leaving all these people. But then if you take it a step further, I think that the building of anticipation of you've waited so long to get the next chapter for Sora and his friends, and you're hearing about him during this opening, and you're getting these visions of his memories as they are being stitched back together by Naminé, and it just starts to build that anticipation further and further and further, where it's in juxtaposition to how you feel about Roxas and how you feel about wanting to play as Sora. Like, at first, you might be like, I don't like that I'm not playing as Sora. Who the fuck is this Roxas guy? But as you get further into the opening and learn more about him, you're like, oh no, I like this person. And it's
Mm.
if I'm going to get to the thing that I want, it's going to cost this person their life. And
Hmm.
that's fucking insane. And I think it's really effective. And I guess my summer vacation is over. Uh, and the him screaming and breaking the computers like hits like a fucking truck to me
Hmm.
every single time now. I can't
Yeah.
say that I loved it
For
as a
me,
kid,
it
but on repeat playthroughs, I adore it.
yeah. For me, it took the events of 358 over 2 days to get to where you are with
Yeah.
that, for to fully engross and understand myself, Roxas. That sentence didn't make any sense. To engross myself in Roxas's situation and understand where he was coming from. Like you said, with him surrendering the driver's seat to Sora, um, didn't make sense to me until the sort of like what Diz was doing with his memories, which you don't get until later in KH2. And with how the org was treating Roxas, which you don't get until Days. Like those are important contextualizations that now foster an immense appreciation for the opening for me.
Yeah. Uh, and then you went on to touch on a lot of the Disney worlds and your general feelings on them. And I will say for me, I think it's pretty nails across the board. I love the structure of them and having to return to all of them, and how the first visit is all about the Heartless and getting the Disney
Hmm.
story. And then the second visit, as you've hit an inflection point on your return visit to Hollow Bastion, it becomes all about driving the story forward with the organization, who is the
Yeah,
true big
it
bad of
is.
Kingdom Hearts 2.
It's impressive that they have you revisit all of these worlds and still make it feel fresh
Yeah.
and interesting, and you don't get tired of going back to these worlds, even though I think Cage 2 is the only game where you really have to do it. um, like in
Yes, I do.
Cage 1, they repopulate the world to a stronger Heartless, but you don't have to go to them except for Traverse Town.
I guess
um,
technically Hollow Bastion. You return there to
and
progress in the
Hollow
story. Yeah.
Bastion.
Never touched on End of World. How
But
do you
both
feel
of
about?
those are
Oh, sorry. End of World. How do you
like
feel
both
about
of
End
those
of World?
are
Okay. Okay.
necessary.
Sorry.
End of the World, I think, is a very um it's a cool idea. Where am I going with this? It's a very chaotic final experience that feels very Final Fantasy to me without being overtly Final Fantasy,
Yes, totally agree.
because Final Fantasy games tend to go off the rails in like the final dungeon of every game, and that's what it felt like to me,
Yeah.
to
What
get to the end of the world.
what the fuck is that room that you go into with like the pod and like the screens or whatever? You know what I'm talking about? Right at the end before
Pod and
you get
screens.
into the Ansem fight, there's this like very mysterious room with a
Oh, yeah, yeah,
plaque on
yeah.
the
That
wall that or something that you can read in
Well,
there.
there
Now we
are
know.
there's so much to read in
Yeah.
that room that kind of explains the entire story of Kingdom Hearts. or it's like the entire backstory that you need to know to understand the Kingdom Hearts stuff in Kingdom Hearts,
Yeah.
or like the original unique sort of quote unquote lore that they brought into Kingdom Hearts is for some reason encapsulated in a room that's off to the side in the last level of the
It's
game,
sick
which
as
is
hell.
bonkers.
It's so
It's
cool too. It's got
bonkers.
so much
And then you
sauce.
and you're reading all this stuff and you're like, "Huh?" But if you like sit down, you're like, okay, take notes. This is
Yeah.
what I need to pay attention to. Then you're like, oh, well, now I'm finally understanding who Ansem actually is,
Exactly.
and not just like a bad guy I have to fight at the end.
And before we get back to Kingdom Hearts 2, and I just want I don't we I wanted to talk about this when we were talking about Kingdom Hearts 1, the final fight with Ansem and it being like fucking 9 phases. Yay or nay? Is that format cool for you, or
Um,
like did you hate that?
Give me a second to think about it. I
Uh,
think that
yeah,
it's okay to have a boss with many phases like that. Um, Although I feel like the space in between is what makes it feel so long, because there are many cutscenes in total throughout that entire final encounter. Um, in the PS2, unskippable ones.
yeah,
Um, and so that adds a lot of unhappy consequence to dying. That can feel kind of grating in an unnecessary way. Like final bosses are designed to be challenging and dying is anticipated. So it should not be a slog to rewatch things you've already seen. Um, and that's something that they should have in mind when they're trying to like interweave story into the fight. Um, so maybe don't do it all at the very end
yeah,
for Ansem, um, which I guess is maybe why they had the interactables in the end of the world, so that you can understand where he's coming from without having to watch a ton of cutscenes, because the ones that they had were already making the fight very long. Um, it's cool how the fight kind of
yep.
escalates.
Love
Um,
that. Love that shit
it's
so
it's a
much.
fun it's a fun fight, and I think each phase gets progressively more fun. Even like the giant airship fight, I thought was fun to glide around.
Hmm.
And like I said with the Oogie fight, it's huge,
Yeah,
and the scale of it suited it well as a final
yeah.
boss.
I think it just really continues to heighten and give you a better picture of how powerful Ansem is and how powerful,
Hmm.
how formidable of a foe you are going up against by each phase getting larger and larger and adding in
I
Come
feel like
Guardian
in
and
Yeah, I feel like in Kingdom Hearts 2, the the scale comes with increased speed, I want to say.
yeah,
Like the Xemnas fight in Kingdom Hearts 2 is very fast, and the way you progress like through that fight is very quick. Like you're cutting through buildings at lightning fast speed.
yeah, that shit's
Um
sick as
and
hell.
so like Kingdom Hearts 2 scales up in speed as Sora gets stronger. But Kingdom Hearts 1 just scales up in size. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like the the stakes and the enormity of the foes that you're going up against is almost correlated to how big they are in
right,
Kingdom Hearts 1.
yeah, and there's a
And
whole
in
lot of them
Kingdom
too.
Hearts 2, the threat that your enemies pose to you is almost more correlated to their speed than their
Right.
size.
And we see that displayed in those return visits with the likes of Zaldin. I guess we
Hmm.
fight Demix in the first visit of
Yeah.
Olympus Coliseum. You have Zaldin. You have uh, Ansem Riku showing up
Hmm.
in Mulan's world. You have Luxord showing up in Pirates,
Yep.
and you don't get to
Yep.
fight him directly, but you get to fight an enemy that he summons. And I think
I
that
like that they started doing that in Cage too, where they put an org member in each world and they give
yes,
you like one guy and latch onto at a time. And I like that they did that again in Cage
I
3.
just think they did it so
Um,
much. worse in Cage 3 because they show
I
up and
think
go,
yeah,
well, we're evil, we're doing bad stuff, but
yeah,
that's the extent of
we'll
their
get to
interaction.
Cage
Yeah, yeah,
3, so I don't want to belabor it too much. But I like that they started this practice in Cage
yeah.
2, and it's a lot more unified because it's just the org that you have, and that's all you know.
Let's talk about the combat real fast here. I feel like there's not a lot to
Hmm.
say on the combat just because I think it is
I
universally considered to be fantastic. It really, really
Yeah.
great.
Well, I think there is a lot to say because
Yes.
there are a lot of combat mechanics in Kingdom Hearts 2, and they all feel great.
Yeah,
Um,
I just feel like a lot of these things have been said time and time again. Like reaction commands,
right.
sick as hell. Form
Yeah.
changes, awesome.
Yep.
Like just the base
I guess
mechanics and how it feels.
they'd be drive forms in Cage 2 and form changes in
Oh,
Cage
sorry, yeah,
3.
yeah. Or would it be form changes in BBS? Is that what I'm thinking of? Because Nick's doing that for
Um I
right now.
forget. I'm watching you guys play BBS is audio only, so I'm not reading the same
Gotcha.
things that you guys are reading. So I don't know what they're called in BBS anymore. But in Cage 3, there are definitely form changes because
Yeah.
your Keyblade changes forms. But in Cage 2, they're drive forms.
So yeah, the combat here is nails. There's so many great boss fights and so many great set piece moments. The 1,000 Heartless, legendary, everything
Hmm.
in that return visit to
Yeah.
Hollow Bastion, I think is better than everything that we see in a lot of Kingdom Hearts games, but specifically three when it comes to progressing the story midway through and giving
Hmm.
you also just like some of the most
For sure.
badass moments ever. Nick and I regularly go back to that cutscene of Squall, aka Leon, and
Hmm.
Cloud back to back fighting off a bunch of Heartless, and Cloud being like, "Oh, you're fighting here," and he's like, "Yeah, if one more shows up, I think that we might be screwed or something like that." And just it's just sick as hell. And then uh, Goofy fucking dying. Like I remember that happening when I was
Yeah,
a kid and being like,
dude.
"This is kind of awesome." Like I thought he was
Yeah,
dead, but like it was
it
like,
takes some close reading to understand that Chain of Memories and the start of Kingdom Hearts 2 are dark. When Goofy gets clocked and Mickey's
yeah,
like, they'll pay for this, and
yep,
he goes
throws the
sicko
jacket off.
mode,
Yeah,
that's when Kingdom Hearts 2 gets
yeah.
real.
That's what Kingdom Hearts is all about, man. And then when it comes to the difficulty of this game, and playing through it for the first time on PS2, I got stuck on the first roadblock for me, and I think I was still not great about fighting mob heartless and leveling up at this point in my life. Like I said, I after beating Kingdom Hearts 2, I went back to Kingdom Hearts 1 and was like, oh, that was the problem. Like I needed to be leveling up, but I still wasn't doing it in Cage 2. And you can get away with it more because you're getting really tangible level ups from boss fights.
Hmm.
That you're only getting from these boss fights, so like your HP and everything is still going up, and your ability points. But
Right, right.
if you want to like get more strength and get more defense,
Do
like you
do
have
you
to.
like that? Like getting, because they started doing this in Cage 2. Do you like getting tangible and unique upgrades from finishing certain encounters, like enemy encounters and boss fights, or do you prefer getting them from level ups?
I prefer the leveling structure of Kingdom Hearts 1, especially because I think that the most tangible, exciting upgrade for me to get because I can see it immediately is more magic, more MP,
Hmm.
more health, and watching that health bar fill out
Oh,
is just
nothing
so
better. One of my
satisfying.
favorite health bars, to
Yeah,
see it wrap around and keep
you're right.
going. So
And you
fun.
have
That's how you
to
know you've made it.
in Kingdom Hearts 2, you have to do specific things to get more HP and get that health bar
Yeah.
to do the same thing. And I don't enjoy that as much, but I do enjoy getting these abilities and dude, I if I could go back and give young Connor one piece of advice, I think it would be like, hey, those AP boosts, use them. Like, what are we
Ah.
doing? Like, I just had AP boost and defense boost in my stock and never used them when I was a
Hmm.
kid. Those
Hmm.
have been so useful. But I enjoy
Yeah,
that whole leveling
because I love
process
the
as well.
ability system
Yep.
in both Cage 1 and Cage 2, where you have a certain amount of points and you need to decide what to allocate them towards.
Yep.
It reminds me a little bit of the skill system from Final Fantasy 9, but it's expanded with a lot more AP to choose from.
Right.
um, and you get the skills a lot more organically just by leveling up, and so it kind of trickles them into your builds, and you get to decide over time what you prioritize and what you get to keep. And that opens up the possibility of a lot more tinkering, which I
Mhm.
love tinkering with abilities because you can really fine tune your combo, which is great for an action RPG. You have a lot of customizability over like how Sora will hit enemies, and there are pros and cons to doing fast combos, and there are pros and cons to doing slow combos, and there are pros and cons to doing aerial combos.
Right.
And you have control over all three of those things through the ability system.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts combat has never been like the biggest draw for me to the franchise. It's always been the story that has kept me coming back for more. But I think it's inarguable that Kingdom Hearts 2 is not only just like a great action game. I think it's sits alongside many of the all-time great action games like Devil May Cry or something like that. Like it is nails through and through with like just how that combat feels and the
Hmm.
depth and how crazy you can go with customizing it and tinkering with your build to get the maximum output for your play style. And I think that is displayed to the highest degree with the super bosses in this game, with
Yeah.
the data fights and with Sephiroth. Sephiroth was always in this game. And then the data fights were added for the final mix version. Like I said, I platinumed Kingdom Hearts 1. Haven't even attempted Chain of Memories yet, Rechain of Memories. I am on the doorstep, I would say, of Kingdom Hearts 2. I booted up a few days ago and was like, okay, what exactly was I doing? I hit level 100.
Hmm.
I've beaten the game on critical now. Like, what do
Hmm.
I have left? I've gotten to the data fights, so getting through the Cavern of Remembrance was a doozy as well. I've beaten
Yeah.
Sephiroth now. Sephiroth, not that hard, honestly. Never even I think I've attempted Lingering Will like once or twice just to see the cutscene and
Hmm.
get
I have as
fucking
well.
waxed in the first 3 seconds of the fight. But I was doing the Mushroom 13, and those are much, much easier than what you have to do in Kingdom Hearts 1
Hmm.
from my experience so
Actually,
far.
I haven't I haven't actually fought Lingering Will. I think I've attempted a lot of the absent silhouettes, which I think are the same as the data fights.
I don't know the difference, but I know there is a difference. I think that the data fights
Okay, well
are
never mind
the
then.
harder versions of the absent silhouettes.
Um, because I definitely attempted and beat a couple of the absent silhouettes that you encounter in the worlds. I definitely didn't do all of the data fights in the world that never was. So I don't think I would have unlocked Lingering Will then. Um,
The data fights
or I
are
don't know the
in
conditions for that.
the data fights are in Hollow Bastion slash Radiant Garden.
Oh,
So
what
you
am
have
I
to
thinking
go.
of?
So I don't know if you played the final. Well, you must have played the final mix version because it was in
I
the
did play
online
the final
package.
mix.
You have to go. It like unlocks later in a return visit to Hollow Bastion where you have to go through this gauntlet, this platforming gauntlet, and then this heartless gauntlet to get to this room that it has a big circle of
Oh,
these
the circle.
doors,
Okay. Yeah.
with each organization member. And my attempt, like after coming back to the game recently and doing some of the Mushroom 13, I was like, I don't know what else. I have the Ultimate Keyblade. There's probably some items that I can synthesize to better situate myself for these fights. But I was like, I'll go try. I must be close to being able to do some of these fights, like level 99. I whacked Sephiroth. That was my first time
Hmm.
beating him. And I went in to fight Axel. I died in the first 3 seconds. Like, oh, I couldn't do anything. Like, I was just
Hmm.
getting smoked. Like, I need
Okay.
to.
Yeah, it sounds like I wouldn't have even attempted those fights.
Yeah. But
I didn't make it to the end of the Cavern of Remembrance. I got to the beginning part and I got beat the heck out of by hot rods, and I was like, I'm out.
yeah, dude,
Those cars are insane.
getting through there, just the Cavern of Remembrance took me a while. But the data fights are just a display of the depth of this combat and how you can ramp the difficulty
Hmm.
and give each of these organization members a unique trait to manage and deal with in these fights
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
make you be pushed to your limit and have to really learn the ins and outs of this combat system. And you can see
Hmm.
that throughout the game, but I think that the data fights are the highest display of that. Two
Have
main.
you
Go ahead.
have you done any of those for Kingdom Hearts 3
I've
with
done
the
all
Remind
of them
DLC?
except for Yuzora. And I did
Hmm.
it on
Because
proud
I
mode.
that was my real deep dive. I didn't do it for Kingdom Hearts 2, so I wanted to really do it for Kingdom Hearts 3. So I did all the data fights and I beat Yuzora. So much
Did
fun.
you do it on
That
normal, or do you remember what mode you did it
I
on?
did it on proud mode
Okay.
with pro codes on.
Oh.
So I got the Risk Taker trophy for doing the whole game with pro codes to get a certain score.
So what do pro codes entail?
I
Um.
well let's table that for
Okay,
KH3 because it's a can of worms.
dude.
It's hard.
I think that those fights that are the data fights in the Remind DLC are fucking phenomenal. But
They're so
I played
good.
on Proud. I got to
And
Yuzora and I couldn't beat him. And then shortly after that, critical mode came out, and I was like,
mhm.
okay, if I'm going to beat Yuzora, I want to do it on crit because I'm probably only going to beat this motherfucker once in my life.
I don't know if I would recommend that. It's doable certainly,
Yep,
but
I'm willing to throw myself at it like for years and years to be able
like
to
I
check that
have
off.
the plat in KH3.
I
It's
do
the
as
only
well.
Kingdom Hearts game I have a platinum trophy for, and then I also have all of the trophies in Remind, even though Remind doesn't have its own plat.
Nice.
Um, but we'll talk about that later
Yeah.
because I want to get to Days.
Let's just briefly then there's so much to dig into here. And we're running out of time. And thank God doing this in two parts was the right choice for sure.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
agree.
limiting the discussion. But even now, like we are pushing up against it. We have less than 45 minutes until I have to be on stream. And but I want to just touch on two fights. Um, Roxas in the world that never was
My
added in the
goodness,
final
one
mix
of my favorite
version.
fights in the whole series.
Like the other promise, arguably the best song in Kingdom Hearts, arguably the best video game song ever created. And the emotional weight of that scene with that scene before and after, then the fight and the visuals in the
Hmm.
fight, and then the music. Also, it's the hardest fight in the base game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
Like
agree.
just phenomenal stuff. Like the team and Tetsuya Nomura and Yoko Shimomura like just coming together to make something that I think you can look at as just a simple and clean piece of art. Like it
Hmm.
is, it's got it all, and I love that fight. And my first time playing it on Proud, my first time playing through the Final Mix version, because I'd played Kingdom Hearts 2 on PS2 many times. I did not know about this fight when I replayed Kingdom Hearts 2 in college on the PS3 with the PS3 version. Um,
Hmm.
and I got my teeth fucking kicked in for I think like at least 100
Yeah,
tries. I was on it for days, and but I
I
loved
am
it.
glad they made it so hard
Yeah,
because that matches the stakes of the scale of what that fight is. Like uh it's almost fitting that Roxas fighting with his alter ego for the right to exist is even more difficult of a tribulation than whatever Xemnas was trying to do with Kingdom
yeah.
Hearts, right? It feels personal, and that's why it's so much of a struggle.
Uh, and then let's talk about the finale here. Xemnas and the fights leading up to that, going through the
Hmm.
gauntlet of organization members. You think you beat Xemnas, you reconnect.
Also, pretty hard fights,
Yeah.
like Syx especially, pretty difficult.
Saix is tough. I think Zigbar might have given me the most trouble as a kid.
Hmm.
So it's and then it's Luxord, and I think as a child I just like couldn't really figure out his mechanics, and I lucked my way
Yeah,
into scraping by. But he's not incredibly difficult either. So it's Saix,
yeah.
Luxord,
Luxord's not always that hard.
um, and Zigbar. and then Xemnas. And then there's also a Xemnas fight earlier, where you're fighting him in the city for The World Never Was. That is
Yeah,
really cool
that's a
as
cool
well.
fight.
But then you get to that finale. Riku becomes himself again.
Yeah,
He's
it's my favorite part of the
he
finale
yeah, he's
is getting Riku back.
cleansed of his darkness and dripped to hell now for some reason. Different outfit.
Yeah,
Like he
got
too
that
cool for
fit
school.
on.
Like when I was a kid, I was like, this is the coolest person to ever exist. Like straight up, like holy shit. And they think they've won, and they then get separated from the rest of the crew, who goes back to Destiny Islands, and Riku and Sora have to do their final showdown. We can kind of gloss over like there's the dragon part, and then the Xemnas in the armor in the chair, and you have to fly
Yeah.
around.
I love
All of that's
how
really
Armor
great.
Xemnas incorporates the weapons of all org members in his design and
So
attacks.
good.
It's like,
It's so
oh, like
good.
that is visual storytelling that he's the one with the agency. He's the one pulling the strings because
Yeah.
the swing of every weapon that the org members ever did was orchestrated by Xemnas because he's got them all at his
Yeah.
disposal.
And then that final showdown in like the void, where
Hmm. With
he's
Riku.
got lightsabers and shit.
Yeah.
Nick and I
Puts you in
have
the freaking dome.
yeah, Nick and I have talked about this. I think maybe a dozen times on this podcast or on TikToks. The moment when you get to the end of the fight, or towards the end of the fight, and he puts all the lasers all around you, and you have to press
Yeah.
triangle and
Yeah,
circle, or start triangle and X
the
at
mashy
the same
dome.
time. Like it might be the coolest thing that's ever existed. Like it was fucking amazing. I was like, this is Aura incarnate here. Like I loved it as a kid. I love it as an adult. Riku or Sora getting captured during that fight, and Riku getting to play as Riku
Yeah,
very
getting to
briefly.
play as
But
Riku.
it's like, oh my god, what a twist to save for the
I
end.
love, yeah, I love that. My favorite part is getting Riku back because it felt when you play as him and you're bailing out Sora and he is the staunch ally that you always knew he was. It felt so very earned
Right.
because he became the ally that you get to control him as over the course of this game and the previous
Yeah.
installments.
There's just so much build up to that, and we I don't think we have time to touch on it, but like everything with Sora and his back and forth with Riku throughout this game, and Riku being who he is and looking how he does with
Yeah.
looking like Ansem and giving himself over to the darkness, and all of that just enhances this final fight, and being able to get to that moment where you're back to back with your bro fending off thousands of lasers coming at you, and
Hmm.
then he has to save the day. He has to save the main character, the one that you've been playing as the entire game, and you
Yeah.
suddenly like they had to
Because
design
Sora
like a
never
whole
gave up on him, and it ultimately saved his life
right.
against Xemnas.
It's so cool, dude. And like the fact that they like went through the trouble of like making a controllable Riku with attacks and
Hmm.
stuff to play as him
Yeah.
for 20 seconds, and like
Yeah.
like that's awesome. Like I don't they didn't have to do that, and I think it's very effective, and I'm glad they did. And then we get to the ending here, and I think this is one of the all-time great endings as well. Everything, all the lines delivered between Sora and Riku, and highlighting their bond and their
Hmm.
brothership, and um uh kind of encapsulating how the journey has got them to this point, and how they still love each other despite everything that they've been through, and how they're willing to be pushed into the realm of darkness because they have each
Yeah.
other here. Like I think is fucking amazing, and so good.
And just them together, even if that was the end of all things, just for them to be there with each other would have been enough.
Yeah, exactly. And the line of about them being jealous, and how
Yeah.
they're jealous of getting to have a friend like for Sora Riku, and for Riku Sora, and stuff like that. And they've always looked up to each other because they both have their shortcomings, but they both have their undeniable qualities that they can aspire to, and just guys talking candidly about their emotions and their love for each other, like I think it
Hmm.
was really important for me to hear as a kid, and continues to be important and very relevant as an adult. But then the letter washes up on the shore,
Yeah.
and the door to light opens, and like it all comes full circle. You are back to Destiny Islands after a journey that felt like it took a lifetime out of these people, and you never knew if you were going to get back there. And the joy that you feel, and how the music enhances that finally just like getting to breathe again, that sigh of relief of like we made it back. And then you get the moment at the end with uh, Sora and Kairi and Riku and Namine overlaying over them, like we're back, you're home. Like I always am
Hmm.
a puddle at the end there.
Hmm.
Like I think the whole thing is just phenomenal. Like no notes, wouldn't change a thing. One of the great video game endings of all time. So how do you feel about the final moments of this game?
Yeah, I think that it is it I agree with everything that you said. I have no notes and nothing to add to that sentiment. Other than I like how that one, the ending of Kingdom Hearts 2 segues into future installments, the best of any game in the series, because the invitation is offered to the characters and they voluntarily accept it of their own will,
Yeah.
rather than being forcibly separated, like is seen very often at the end of Kingdom Hearts games.
And we hung on that note for so long too. Like
Yeah.
we didn't know what was said in it, and I don't think we got any answers from the games that came after Kingdom Hearts 2. We didn't get an answer until Dream Drop Distance in 2012, which is
You say
wild.
we, I wasn't we.
Oh,
I
okay.
just booted up the next
Yeah,
game.
yeah. I like we just were like, why? Or okay, a Roxas game makes sense. It's another prequel. We've done, I guess we hadn't done a prequel up until that point, but we've done spin-offs in quotes, and then you get to Birth by Sleeping. Like this has nothing to do with that note, but it's cool as hell. So
Yeah.
whatever, I guess. And then you finally get progression of the first progression of the story. Um, Half a decade later in 2012, Dream Drop Distance, which we will talk about in the next episode. But let's get into 358 over 2 days. I will say this is my favorite version of Dearly Beloved right off the rip from the ones we've talked
Mm,
about thus far.
interesting.
I mean, I think it's just the most complex, and I think adding a flute into anything like makes it is just gonna make it more
Yeah,
dynamic and
interesting
thus
that
better.
your favorite one is the one that really doesn't feature the iconic piano melody very much at all.
Yeah, I mean it's still there. Yoko Shimomura loves leitmotif, and
Hmm.
having like Dearly Beloved play in many songs in uh throughout Kingdom Hearts. And I think just
Hmm.
because it doesn't have like the core like piano melody, it still has the Dearly Beloved tune going throughout it.
Yeah.
I do need to do a re-listen, but in my brain I remember really loving this. And I
I
remember,
agree with what you said about the music though, because as a game, Days is kind of very formulaic and repeats itself very often. So you hear the same songs beginning over and over again. Um, and they don't get old, right? They still feel fresh and appropriate the 50th time you listen to
right.
them as you start up a new day. And I love that.
Um, and then for the start of my journey with 358 over 2 days, this is the game that I think I've played the least in the Kingdom Hearts franchise, just because it's not super accessible. I didn't have access to it after
Hmm.
initially buying it. I definitely sold 358 over 2 days or left it at my parents' house, and they gave it to somebody, or sold it off to somebody after I had left for college or whatever. Um, but I've watched the cutscenes many times by myself and with others. We're going to be doing another rewatch. Me and Nick are going to watch through that. He agreed to it, and then I
I
was like, it'll be 3 hours long. And he was like, 3 hours? What? I was like, yeah, it's all the cutscenes in the game. Like, that's kind of par for the
man,
course.
I wish I now that I've actually played Days, I wish for everyone
Yep.
to play that game. That game begs and deserves to be played.
It enhances the story incredibly well. The
It's
monotony
so
of the
very much does.
day-to-day grind, and like
Yeah.
it highlights so many of the themes of the story, and the reliance on friendship and how important Shion and Axel are to Roxas, and having the mystery revealed over
Hmm.
um and threaded through the haze of like the monotony, which I think is still very fun. It's meant to be
Yeah.
played and pick
And
up and
like
put down
it
sessions.
the connotation of that might turn some people away when you say it's a day-to-day grind. I promise that it's not, it doesn't feel monotonous or grindy to play. And like you said, it enhances the experience because you spend so much more time with these characters that deserve that amount of time. And it's really a tight cast of like Sora, Axel, and Shion,
You mean
who
Roxas?
or sorry, Roxas,
Yeah.
Axel, and Shion, um, who, unlike the other sort of trios in Kingdom Hearts, they have an entire game together where they interact with each other in different and meaningful ways that characterizes them in ways that you don't see in any other
I
game.
never thought about that. Yeah, that's a great point. That's super cool.
Um, and they go like the reason why it doesn't feel monotonous or formulaic is because these characters are going through different problems with each other, or sometimes with just a group of two of them, or sometimes alone, um, and they're overcoming obstacles in different ways each time. So even though it is a day-to-day basis storyline, you encounter very different happenstances that elevate the stakes as you go, and it doesn't feel like it is monotonous as a result of that. There's
Yeah.
escalation and there's a rising action. So I wouldn't expect going into it thinking, oh, this is just a handheld game that I pick away at levels. Like you are invested, and that's why I think the game deserves to be played. Is it builds way more investment in the outcome than were you to just watch them as
Yeah,
cutscenes.
totally agree. And I think that can be said for just about anything in the Kingdom Hearts franchise or
Sure,
in
sure.
for gaming in general. Like you like the
I don't
gameplay,
know about the mobile games. I don't know if I
right?
could say because I haven't played the mobile games. I don't know if I could render the same judgment for
Yeah.
them, but certainly for Days and probably for
Yeah,
Recoded too.
but for games in general, I feel like you're missing something almost always because the gameplay is often
Hmm.
used as a tool for these story games to enhance the story or make you sit with certain themes and messages that the game is trying to get across. And I think that 358 over 2 days, and that is how I will refer to this game for the rest of the time. I do not care if it's technically Kingdom Hearts 358 days over two. That is how Nomura apparently says the
Is that
title.
how he says it?
I refuse. It's the Titus versus Titus situation. Like I
You you
understand.
s- the way you write it out is 358 over 2.
Yeah, I don't know why it's
So
it would
so I don't
be
know why you'd say it
anything else,
differently.
but I know that it is a fact that it is actually called 358
Hmm.
days over two. It's ridiculous and I hate it, but I
And
will call it.
in case anyone like needs a primer on why it's called that, there's a year in between Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, and this game covers the events that go on in that year. So it's and the opening of Kingdom Hearts 2 is the last week of that year. So everything from Kingdom Hearts 1 to the start of Kingdom Hearts 2 is a year minus a week, which is 358 days.
Mhm.
And the reason why that is over two is because our experience of those days is predominantly shared by two characters, right? That's why it's over two.
Is that why? I thought at the end of 358 over 2 days, you pick up and start day 1 and 2 or get cutscenes of Roxas after leaving the organization and starting hit the next phase of his life, or what he thinks is the next phase of, or what we know as the next phase of his life. And that's what the 2 days are. There's 2 days at the end after the 358 that you
Oh, is there?
experience in some capacity, if I remember correctly. Like I said, it's been a very, very long time since I played this game. I played this when it released, and dude, it's crazy that like back in the day, like if you weren't looking at magazines or something, like you don't know about new releases. Like I ended up figuring out about 358 over 2 days because I was searching just Kingdom Hearts on Google like once a
Hmm.
week or multiple times a week and stumbled upon a news post that was talking about 358 over 2 days. And then YouTube is becoming more and more popular, and finding out that I could watch the trailer from like TGS for
Hmm.
358 over 2 days. But I remember going to Walmart when I was a kid, or Meyer or something, because this was when I was in Ohio, and thinking 358 was out because there was stories about it, and was confused, and then had to like
Yeah.
go home and check like for more details. But I was like 12 years old at this point, 13 years old. Like I didn't know how these things worked, but like it was one of the first games that I anticipated like a release date for. And I don't know if I got a day of on release, and I don't even know how I afforded it, or if I had to just get my mom to buy it for me. But I have vivid memories of playing this late at night, hiding my DS under
Hmm.
my pillow. Did the same thing for Birth by Sleep, which we'll talk about later.
Classic shared experience for
Right,
handheld games.
exactly. I remember being at a cross country meet when I was in 8th grade, and sitting under one of like the canopies, or like the tents that you put up to shade, like, and everyone would put their bags under. And I finished my race and was sitting with my back against one of the poles and playing through 5-8 over 2 days, and barely being able to see it because it was still sunny out. But the shade was making it still playable for me. So I remember
Hmm.
that. And I remember working. I remember a lot of the boss fights. I remember um, the
Man, I
way.
love the boss designs
Yep.
in Days. Not all of them are fun to fight against,
Yep.
but they all look so
They're
cool. My
very, very
favorite
cool.
in the series, the boss
Really
designs
interesting.
of the Emblem Heartless in Days.
I'll have to do a replay, but I remember the combat is a step back from two. It's more, it's very basic in comparison, but I think like the core feeling of jumping and slashing away and using
Yeah,
your magic abilities, like it's still there. It looks like shit in comparison
I
to
think it's
any
yeah,
other
and
Kingdom Hearts game.
everything about Days is scaled down from 2 to fit onto a handheld experience. And so they're working with hardware limitations, and it is fun in spite of those
Yeah,
limitations.
it's
And
the
I love it for
it's the
that.
only game that I think does not, even at release, I was like, this is ugly. Like it's like the characters are
Yeah,
so polygonal.
it's a DS game.
Yeah, but like
You're
the PS,
going from a PS2 game to a DS
right.
game.
But then you get
And
to the
it's
PSP game with Birth by Sleep, and like that game looks fucking amazing in comparison to
because a
358.
PSP
Right.
is a lot higher res than a
Yeah, but
DS.
I didn't understand this as a kid. I was like, they're all just handheld
Yeah, okay,
games,
sure.
and I was like, I still loved 358 despite the fact that I knew even as a child that it did not look great, and but I
Hmm.
understood that there was probably limitations between a home console and
I
a.
love while we're on gameplay, I love the panel system in Days.
Me too. I love it.
It's one of my favorite like level up progression systems in any RPG because it invites you to play around spatially with like your level up
You're in
bonuses.
Tetris, like it's
And
awesome.
and it's in Tetris, which is it's like it gives you a little puzzle to figure
Yeah,
out. And once you really start puzzling things out, you realize that you're allocating spots in order to activate your abilities, which is very much just a translation of the ability system from Kingdom Hearts 2. Instead of spending AP points, you're allocating tiles on a grid. And they still work in units the same way. You're just doing it spatially.
yeah, it's so
And that
good.
adds a layer of complexity because some tiles need to be arranged with each other in arrangements in order to increase their power like exponentially. And so you're paying attention to where these guys are going and you're organizing them and you're tinkering with them and you're sharing this same space with the items that you're bringing into encounters, with
Mm.
the spells that you're going to be casting. So you're making sacrifices in ways that actually really makes sense for you to say, okay, do I level myself down in order to bring powerful spells to a fight that really prioritizes the use of magic? So they orient you within the demands of the level that you're going up against, how you build yourself, even down to the RPG mechanics of what level you are when you go into an encounter. And I think that's genius.
I think that is so well put, and you went over the brilliance of that system better than I ever could. But I just want to say that through that, like, I feel like menus and leveling and build crafting is such an underrated part of what makes Kingdom Hearts games so special. They
Yeah, for
basically
sure.
all have it, and they all have it in a
Yeah.
different way that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I never hear anybody being like, "Oh, my favorite part of Birth by Sleep is the melding of command deck abilities." Like that's, but like
Hmm.
that is fun. That is really fun,
It is
and
fun and it's unique. It
yep,
is not something that they ever did prior. So it's not like they are reusing design elements.
yep.
They're doing something new every game, which is why they're justified in making you play every single game to understand the series because every game feels different and won't get stale.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of my favorite parts of these games is just spending time in the menus in 358 over two
Absolutely.
days and Chain of Memories specifically, but for all the games in some capacity, I think that like just messing with shit is a
Yeah,
joy.
for days especially, like whenever you get a new aisle unlocked in your little Tetris board, it's like a drug because
Yep.
you're like, oh, I can either get a level up, which you usually do first, or like I can use this ability that I've had for a really long time because it's like an L piece and now I can fit it in my board because
Yep.
I have the extra spot to fit an L piece. It's so
It
fun.
opens up
You
so
should
many
you if
possibilities
you're
with
listening
one
to
tile.
this, yeah, with one tile.
Yeah.
And they give you those so incrementally because there's probably like 90 to like 100 tiles that you get over the course of the game. I don't know the exact number, but you get them little by little, like every couple of missions, and each one feels important and feels like you've powered up in a way that's meaningful, even though it's such a small increment. You can do something that you couldn't do before.
Right. All right, let's close this out by talking about the story in 358 over two
Yeah.
days. We've already touched on it in some capacity, but let's talk about Axel, Roxas, and Shion, the sea salt
Yes.
ice cream trio. And we've already discussed how the gameplay and the structure of this game really enhances their dynamic. But speak to me about how you feel about these characters, where they rank for you, maybe in the pantheon of Kingdom Hearts trios. Do you love these characters? Do you like
Hmm.
these characters? Do you dislike these characters? I can't imagine somebody
Yeah,
disliking them, but
I unequivocally love these characters. I think that, it's easy to talk about characters in terms of trios in Kingdom Hearts because that's how a lot of them are structured because
mm,
they're a trio of three main characters. And I think this is my favorite trio of any Kingdom Hearts game.
same.
It beats in my preference, I like spending time with these characters more than Sora Riku Kairi, more than Ven Aquaterra.
And like
Um,
you said, this is the cast we get to spend the most time with where they're
the
actually
most time
talking
with,
to each other.
yeah,
So I feel like it's very
together.
natural to be like, okay,
the
like
re- the
I
other
see
the
it.
other two main trios spend the whole games trying to convene with each other, trying to
Right.
get back together, or maybe just missing each other like ships in the night. But Days, they're going through all of their tribulations with each other, and they need to because they're put up against the demands of the organization, which are cruel and unfeeling in many
Mhm.
ways. Um, and they're being imposed on people who are I say people, they're being imposed on nobodies who are told they're not people, told they do not have hearts, and that's a narrative that is being perpetuated by the organization in order to get them to do what the organization wants, which is complete Kingdom Hearts. And I love that the story of Days is the events that lead up to the completion of Kingdom Hearts because you get to Cage 2 and you get to the end and you're like, "Oh, that is Kingdom Hearts? That's what this game is called?" And you're like, "How did this get here?" And Days explains that it is the result of meticulous work. Like literally, it's a job that people they refer to it as their job of the organization members on a daily basis. It didn't happen overnight. It
Right.
happened over a year.
And you think
And
that
you get to live.
Sora's solely responsible for the creation of Kingdom Hearts
Yeah, yeah,
and Kingdom
yeah,
Hearts 2, but like Roxas and Shion did the bulk of the work. Because are
yeah.
the other organization members adding to Kingdom Hearts? Because I
No,
thought only the
no.
Keyblades could.
I
Yeah.
mean, ostensibly, no, because only the Keyblade can unlock hearts that go rejoin to form Kingdom Hearts.
Right.
So only Heartless that are defeated with the Keyblade are making any progress towards the organization's goal, which is why Roxas and Shion are both very important parts of the org's plan. And it seems like the rest of the organization is kind of doing like they're doing recon. They're kind of seeding intrigue in the worlds in order to allow for more Heartless to spring out of them. They're kind of gardeners in each of these Disney worlds
Right.
to allow for Heartless to spawn from the darkness in people's hearts. And that is then Roxas and Shion are sort of the harvesters of the farming that the rest of the organization is doing.
But when it comes to the bond between Axel, Roxas, and
Yeah.
Shion, like how do you feel about how their dynamic grows? You start out with just Axel and Roxas in his early days is a bit of a zombie and slowly but surely begins to open up. And then you kind of start to repeat the process with Shion, but you
Hmm.
have Roxas as the one who is having her tag along and be that guide for her to come back to
Hmm.
her humanity that they're told that they don't even have in the first place. But clearly, there's something deeper going on here because if they are
Yeah.
emotionless and can't feel what is going on between Axel, Roxas,
Right.
and Shion when they very clearly care about each other. So, how do you feel
Right.
about that dynamic?
I The reason why I love the bond that these characters form so much is because like Kingdom Hearts 1 is a coming of age story about kind of losing touch with your friends and sometimes kind of failing to reconnect with them at the same way that you used to, between Sora and Riku and them trying to find Kairi. Days is very much the story of making new friends, forming a connection. This is the first time in Kingdom Hearts that you see a friendship, a bond form between a group of people, between a group of three people. It's the first time that characters make friends with each other. And not only do we see them become friends, but we see the friendship grow and strengthen as it's tested. And we see instances where these characters become jealous of each other. We see instances where they back each other up, where they vouch for each other, where they actively try to spend more time with each other in spite of what conditions are trying. So these are all very much like real human dynamics that happen over the course of our own real friendships. So for a series that prioritizes the value of friendship, for the main character whose catchphrase is "My friends are my power," this is the game that really qualifies what friendship actually means and how it can be achieved and how it comes about. And that's why I love these characters so much, is because they're the ones who feel like real friends the most because we see it happen
Yeah.
instead of it having already happened.
Uh, and I echo just about everything you just said, and I think it was very well put on the power of this dynamic that they build over the course of this game. But I want to close this out by touching on the finale and where these characters end up. We know
Oh my
where
goodness.
we end up
How could we forget?
for Roxas, because we get the end of his story, or what we think is the end of his story in Kingdom Hearts 2. And we know it's going to end in tragedy. We just know that
Yeah.
the bond that we
Yeah.
are seeing and the relationships that are growing and thus the
And the
relationship that
fact that Shion is not in Kingdom Hearts 2
yeah,
in any capacity, it's a slow moving train wreck,
yeah,
right? But you can't help but look away.
and you are becoming more emotionally invested with this, and as the tragedy starts to reach its conclusion, it's like they've done so much to uh, have this hit as hard as it possibly
Hmm.
can. I want to
Yeah.
highlight one line.
And then and then the Give your line and then I'll
I
talk.
want to highlight one line that has, I think it might be my favorite line delivery in the entire franchise. Because for Axel, like Roxas and Shion are going through a very similar situation, and Axel is just sitting here being
Yeah.
like, I am going to be the one who is left behind and have to leave
Yeah.
my friends here, and allow them to move on or just watch them fade into nothingness. And it's outside of his control. And the scene in Twilight Town where he's like, you can keep running, but I'll always be there to bring you back, fucking gets me every time. I think it's like bone chilling shit. And then
Hmm.
for Roxas and Shion to deal with these revelations and have them fade away into nothingness, or barrel towards their demise, and force Roxas to be the one to end Shion, I think
Yeah.
is just so fucked up, but really, really well
It's a
done.
gut punch.
Yeah.
Like you said, this game holds nothing back as it builds and builds and builds to the ultimate confrontation that you know is inevitable. And they really hammer in the inevitability as you get closer to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it as it builds and builds, it of course makes sense that when you get to the final boss, Shion is like, I'm holding nothing back.
Mm-hmm.
Because the emotional payoff is absolutely holding nothing back. This is its finality.
Yeah.
Um, just as we saw the building of this friendship, we're seeing it end. We're seeing it fall apart.
And under no fault of their
And
own,
the
too. Like, it's outside of
Yeah,
their
and it's
control.
not only is it hard for the player to swallow, it's also a really hard fight against
Yeah.
Shion as the final boss. And the music that plays in this one, Vector to the Heavens, is my favorite track
Let me
in the
let me bring in
series.
Ali Benali here. We've talked a lot about music throughout this, but she just wants to put a spotlight on, when it comes to Kingdom Hearts, one thing I love and think about most fondly is the music. It's just so amazing. Vectors to the Heaven is also my favorite Kingdom Hearts track. I've said throughout this podcast that these are arguably, the songs that were previously mentioned are arguably the best Kingdom Hearts song. Vectors, all timer. I think
Yeah.
it's got it all. The production value for the song, when you're looking at, I think, the Kingdom Hearts 2 version, that was added in Final Mix, like it doesn't get to its highest point in the DS version because like they have limitations,
Hmm.
but like when you get the,
Yeah,
the
it's on the
full
DS.
thing, like it really is something magical. And
It's also in Melody of Memory
yeah,
if you need a good version to listen
right. It
to.
was very cool to
Um,
experience in the data fights in 3
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
And yeah,
Fun thing about the name Vector to the Heavens, like when you think about a vector, like in physics or mathematics, it's a straight line that only goes in one direction, and it results in you getting somewhere.
mhm.
And the heavens is essentially the sky, but we know from Kingdom Hearts that Sora's name is Sky. So what Shion is experiencing is her recompletion with Sora at the end of this game. So Vector to the Heavens is the accompaniment of Shion rejoining Sora in a way that cannot go back,
I love you,
in a
man.
way that is irreversible,
That is
like a
some
vector.
big brain shit right there. Stuff that I would never even come close to putting together myself. I love that, and I think that is a good way to close this out. Um, Unfortunately, I think we had to limit ourselves on multiple games here. There's so
Yeah.
much that we could have dug into, but I think nobody can be mad about 2 hours and 40 minutes of Kingdom Hearts goodness.
Yeah.
And we're going to be back
With
again
more on
with
the way.
another episode, going from Birth by Sleep to Kingdom Hearts 3, and then also talking about the future. And once again, this was a all-timer episode for me. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope the audience enjoyed it
Yeah, absolutely.
as well. I got to pull up the
Yeah, as you say that, I'll give some closing remarks for the episode. Like I think one of you mentioned at the very beginning that they're mostly kids games, right? They're games that were targeted at kids. But the reason why we keep coming back to them as adults is that they appeal to our inner child. Like we mentioned earlier, they take us back to places in our lives where we were playing these games or watching these movies and we're getting to re-experience those things. So it's not only are we playing these games again, but we're re-experiencing and reconvening with who we used to be when we
Yeah.
play them, and
Uh,
that's kind of what I mean by inner child.
and that's why I think I teared up thinking about uh, who I was when I was playing these games, and how that makes me feel and how I can connect with my inner child because of them. But I do want to say that I think that the Disney aspect is kind of a disguise for Kingdom Hearts, to get people in the door, and then these themes and uh, the things that take place in these games are incredibly adult
Hmm.
and dark.
Sometimes more powerful and more poignant than any Disney movie present in any of the
Yeah,
games could attempt to be.
exactly. So I think that that's another just layer to why I love Kingdom Hearts so much and why I think so many have connected with it. I got to get out of here. I got to be on stream in 5
Yep,
minutes. This show is made possible by all our lovely supporters over on Patreon. You can get this show. I just almost did the housekeeping. If you support us at the highest tier, you get your name right at the end of each and every podcast. Members like Court, Chuparosa, Sir Tallywhacker, Smile Smiles, Creighton B, My Man Tanji, My Name is Dom, Schmung Dingle, The Scooby Doo Running Sound, Brew Talc, Chad Taddington the Third, Roland K, Leroy Jenkins, 40, Awesome O, Humunga Dunga, Night Echoes, Nibberus Finest, Caleb Beef, Zodiac, Silent Hills X, Cash R, Chaboy Jake, Jakey P, Pigeon Power, Sir Shellis, Chuzar, MG Dunbar, Mr. Munchies, Malcolm the Dog, Farmer Spud, Rocket Tater, Nofi, The Dankest Mike, Citrus, Swampy Bits, Tristan C, Sconesy C, Killer Cheese, Aloha Alley, Scooterman, Centru, DJ Carlos, Neutral Sphere, Eli the Unusual, The Neutron Style, Easton C, Kingdom Hearts Rules, Stooby Dooby, Crispy, DJ Zach B, Jacob D, Big Mac, Uli, Metal 8, The Patty Cake, Metalcore Cowboy, Mega, Yogi, Dom, Holden M, Brock, Voodoo, Milky Sins, Reggie Ranks, Alex the Golden, Andrew H, Master Diz, Cannon Fodder Games, Only One Rufus, and Silent Hills Sucks, or Silent Hill Sucks. Kingdom Hearts Sucks. Silent Hills definitely doesn't suck, and Kingdom Hearts definitely doesn't suck. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Casual Gaming Conversation. Thank you so much for joining me, Matt, once again. I cannot wait to do the
of
second
course.
part of this. It's going to be so fun.
Me neither.
I'm glowing after this. We will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.